Welcome to the Ska History Hour with your host, Daryl Rubio, wherein the purpose of this channel is to spread awareness of ska music and its subgenres to the world. Our guests today are members of the Selectmen from Concord, New Hampshire. We've got Laz and we've got Tal. Gentlemen, appreciate the time that you're taking to speak with us, to share your stories um, and your music with the ska community. We also have Mr. Special co-host today, Mr. Mikey Rude from that radio program, That Same Old Show out of Hawaii. Mikey, always a pleasure having you on. Of
Thanks, Daryl. Always a pleasure to be here.
course. Gentlemen, either of you can go first, but please tell us a little bit about yourself, your role in the band, where you grew up, and where you live now, please.
Sure. Laz, if you don't mind, I'll go ahead and
Yeah,
go
go ahead.
My name is Tal Bear. I am 55 years young. I am the singer in the Selectmen. I have grown up all over the states and overseas. My dad was military. I was introduced to ska and new wave and punk rock in England in the late 70s, early 80s. And I'd say it became very cemented in my choice of music later in Southern California. I lived in San Bernardino through a bit of high school before moving back east to Washington, D.C., which is where I consider mostly my home because it's always the city and the area that my family came back to about every, I don't know, 5 or 6 years. Lived all over.
San
Last,
Bernardino, huh?
yeah, I went to San Gregonio High School in San Bernardino for
Oh my
freshman
goodness.
sophomore year.
My kids and my kids grew up in Chino, California. So
So
not too far from San Bernardino.
no, not at all. I used to get
Yeah.
into trouble trying to find parties in Chino.
And then I lived in Redlands for a few years. So
See, Redlands always had the rumor that's where all the like hot girls were, and so we would try to find rides to parties over across they called it the Wash that divided San Bernardino.
yes, yes,
So we
yes.
were
Very
always going to
cool.
parties that we could never find.
Yeah, I can understand I can understand why you'd want to go back to Washington.
Yes, absolutely. Laz,
All right, I'm Laz. I'm the guitar player, one of the guitar players for the Selectmen. Um, I was born in Georgia, but I've lived in Dover, New Hampshire since 1997. Still repping Dover. Um, I've been pretty much my whole life. Toured in a lot of bands, been to most of the states, but this is home. It's gonna stay home for a long time, I hope.
Awesome. I've been to Portsmouth. That's
Oh, I
the,
love Portsmouth.
yeah, I've been there on the way to Maine. So when I was
Oh,
on the East Coast trip, shot up there.
yeah,
So familiar with there.
you've
Gorgeous,
been in
gorgeous.
Laz's neighborhood. Portsmouth is
yeah,
just up the road from Dover.
Oh, yeah?
yeah.
Gorgeous.
Yeah,
One
I
town
was in
over.
Portsmouth today, actually.
Oh, is that right? Nice town. Now, uh, I see your band started in about 2022 as a four-piece by you, Tal, one of the founding members of the Pie Tasters. The band had two different names prior to this, Midlife Crisis and Pop,
Yep.
before changing the name to the Selectmen this year in 2026. Got a question about what was the reason for the name change, if you don't mind telling us. Is it a music change? What exactly was it?
A couple things. One, when we started as a four-piece, it was sort of a joke because most of us were in that late 30s through 50 range and kind of where people start to experience that midlife crisis. And so we sort of, had the name as a joke. It was post-pandemic. The band wasn't too serious, and so we were having fun with it. But then people were hearing the tunes, and they're like, "You guys, that name. You guys don't seem like you're a bunch of old dads like making music. You need something more reflective of who you are." And so we ended up switching to past our prime slash pop.
Okay.
Pop was cool to shorten it, but as we began to develop a following, we realized we were having trouble with people would try to find us online, and you look up pop, you're going to find a million other things but us.
Hmm.
And so when we put out our first release of recorded music, we were just like, if we're going to make this change, we need to do it now. because it's going to be really hard trying to get folks to find us. And it's funny, I'll share something. The same exact thing actually happened with the Pie Tasters. Most folks don't know the history of that name, but when we started as the Pie Tasters, we were the Slugs. And then we became the Dance Crashers, but then there was this band Dance Hall Crashers that was breaking right about around then. And so finally we were at a party and one of our British friends was making fun of Steve, the other singer, and was like, "You're a big fat fucking pie taster," because he was kind of chunky. And that's how we ended up with the name the Pie Tasters. And it was all kind of stemmed from we were in the process of putting music out and we needed to have a name that we could clear and get the copyrights and not get lost in the sauce. So that's kind of the history of the name.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, Selectmen totally sounds like a UK thing, which I want to go into because your sound to me, and I know that you described this, that you used to say you live in the UK, which is perfectly with the sound that I hear, similar to the Hot Knives, the Riffs, the Volcanoes, or the little bit of the Loafers, maybe not really the sound of the keys or things like that, but more of the Hot Knives and the Riffs, but definitely a UK sound that I definitely heard on that, which is awesome. Now,
Absolutely.
tell us
Nice
about
to be
the
compared to that.
original. So with the formation of the band, you said you started around as a four piece.
Yep.
Was Pop also a four piece, and then Selectmen transitioned into an eight piece?
Well, a couple things. So when Pop started, we were a four piece, but really the only person with a background in ska at that point was myself. Our bassist has played all kinds of music. He's a Berklee Music School guy. He's late 50s, early 60s, so he had some knowledge. But unfortunately, our guitarist really didn't grow up with ska and couldn't play it, and so it really affected our ability to kind of play what I was hearing and trying to write in my head. Um, and then basically, as each year went by, we've been together about 3 years or so. We've kind of picked up more people, and each person we brought in the band has had more understanding and knowledge of ska and variety of different sounds. Laz obviously being the most recent and probably the most knowledgeable with ska and the history of ska, and that sort of helps cement our sound even further. But I will say this: one of the cool things is by having a band of guys that aren't coming from a set preconception about what ska is, they're bringing their own influences and sounds, and that's kind of what I think helps us create something a little different. So I think that contributes to the sound. And then as far as the UK thing, when I write a lot of music, I tend to come from what I grew up with. And so I hear a lot of like 70s punk, 70s new wave, ska music, and a lot of those kind of things. Laz, you want to share that? And then also, I think being a New Hampshire person, you could probably better explain what a selectman is here in this state.
Yeah, so the Selectmen, so you in New Hampshire, and I think this is just New Hampshire. I don't think any other state does this, but you vote for your mayor, you vote for the school board, you vote for your city councilors, and then there's a board of selectmen, and you vote for your selectmen, and they oversee they're like the executive branch of the town government, so they make sure things get done. And when we were going through names, we were kind of wanting something political to change the name, and I had just joined the band at the time, but we wanted it to be not overtly political in a way that would be off-putting to people, but also something rooted in the states. So we're like, what about the selectmen? And I honestly grew up with selectmen because I grew up in New Hampshire, and I've voted for my town selectmen for years. But I didn't know that was just a New Hampshire thing until we got into that, and I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. I thought every state did that, but yeah. As far as like the UK sound, like the Hot Knives are awesome, so that's a cool compliment. But my background mostly, I mean, I've been playing in bands since I was 14 years old, and primarily hardcore, grindcore, power violence, thrash. But I've always had ska was always on my radar my entire life, and it's always been my favorite kind of music, but I never found people who wanted to do it. So I think, especially some of the newer stuff that we're writing, little more minor, little weirder chord changes that I think are that, very American hardcore influenced sound that hopefully you guys like when it comes out.
So Laz, how did Tal find you for the band? No,
So
is it Craigslist?
it was not Craigslist.
Okay.
So we met. If you're local to the Boston area, Two Tone Tim. He's a staple. He's an angel of a man. He's really cool, and he runs these pub nights where DJs come down and spin vinyl records, and we just listen to reggae and hang out. And there's 20 skinheads there, and that's the biggest gathering you're going to get of them in Boston, probably. And did I meet you through Jeff? How did we meet, or did we just run into each other? I think we were just at a pub night.
I just talked to anybody, and you were looking lonely in the corner, and I said, nobody puts baby in the corner, and we started talking. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, and we just got talking about ska and all of our favorite bands and just everything. And it was just kind of like, Tal's like, you're not like a junkie, right? Could you get to practice and not be a fuck up and be on time? And I was like, yeah, I'm great at that. So
That's awesome. Going back, because I forgot, you mentioned Tal with the Pie Tasters. They used to be called the Slugs. Is that how Slug Tone Records actually came through?
That's exactly it. When we put out the first, it was before it was even like Pie Stomp the record. It was a cassette and a single, and we had to create our own sort of label per se. I don't remember all the business mechanics, but we had to do it, and so we created Slug Tone.
Yeah, I remember I had a black and white, it was like a photocopy. It was years ago that I got the CD. Yeah, it was like the first thing I ever heard from the band back in the day.
Well, and it's funny because Slug is actually the reason we were the Slugs was because our bassist Chris Watt was known as Sluggo, and so it sort of evolved from that as well.
Got it. Understandable. And this year, I think it was around February, you guys released your 5-song EP from the Selectmen called Pop Rest in Peace. Is that correct?
That is.
Tell us about the how this all came about, the recording process, where you recorded, where you practice, and just the formation of how the album came about.
Yeah. So we recorded at Blackheart Sound in Manchester, New Hampshire. My neighbor plays in a fairly huge, massive band in his genre. He's a drummer, and I had noticed they'd recorded over there, and so I went and talked to him. And even though it was a very different kind of music, he's very knowledgeable with that kind of thing. He said, "No, don't worry about it. This guy does a lot of heavy stuff, but he knows good music. He deals with a lot of vintage equipment. He's very easy to work with. Go check him out." So ended up reaching out to him, and we had a meeting, and I liked his attitude, and so we ended up recording. We had planned, our goal was to accomplish 2 to 4 songs, but we drilled 5 songs over and over and over and over and over for 2 straight months. And so when we went in, we basically got all of those songs completed in 2 days, which for some people might not be a big deal. For 8 of us with jobs and families and careers, it was a monumental accomplishment getting that amount of work done. And then from there, we had to have it mixed, which took an additional amount of time. But we were happy with the results. It's first time for the band in the studio, and I can tell you, like you mentioned earlier, the Pie Tasters, that CD we did in a weekend also, but it was so much cleaner and processed and overproduced. Where I think Blackheart Sounds kind of captured a little bit of the rawness. It wasn't so polished, which for us was good because, to be honest, we're not that polished.
Are you a fan of Rocky Horror Picture Show?
Truthfully, no.
Okay. And the
I
reason
used to go to those when I was in high school. You'd go, It
Yeah.
used to just freak me out, like people throwing food and jumping up in the middle of a movie. I'm like, what the heck? And then after punk shows in DC, we would go to Denny's 24-hour diner, and all the people would spill out of the Rocky Horror Show, and suddenly you've got that crowd coming into the diner, and it was just like overwhelming. But as an adult, I've learned to appreciate it a lot more for just kind of its iconic status and its art and its music. So
Iconic campiness.
yes,
No,
absolutely.
the reason why I asked that is because there was there's a part in the chorus. I forgot what it might be, some days, or I don't know exactly, but there's a part that reminds me of the time warp. That portion of the let's do the time warp again, that kind of thing. There's a part in the
Oh
chorus.
yeah,
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
I think you're talking about some days. I
Yes,
could be
some
wrong.
okay. Yeah, there's a part in there that reminds me, and I heard it over and over, and I was thinking that it sounds very similar. So I said he's got to be, or someone's got to be maybe a little fan of it or something like that. Just like the whole UK sound thing. So if I'm wrong, I do apologize.
No, no. I actually, it's funny because I do believe that like we hear things in our life that we may not notice at the time, but when we write music later, they're echoing in your brain somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't even have to be music. Sometimes I hear certain sounds, or I can't remember what song we have in our catalog, but came because I heard this weird. Actually, it's this most recent one. It was an alarm clock. We have a new song called Heart Attach, which was me trying to spell heart attack. The opening guitar riff is from an alarm clock. The whole song came from an alarm clock sound. Yeah, no, as far as the Rocky Horror, I'm okay with that comparison because it's like it's iconic. So
It is. It was great. It was just one of those earworms that kept, I kept hearing. Let's talk about your show. You guys had a show last night with Futon Lasagna and a couple other bands. How was the show?
Laz, you want to go for this one?
The show was good. It was piss and rain all day. It was supposed to be an outdoor show,
Oh,
and about, I don't know, hour and a half before it went on, the clouds parted and the sun came out, and it was, yeah, I was really like, oh man, if it's gonna be 50 degrees and raining, I don't want to fucking play the show.
oh,
But it all came good, and we did Heart Attach was a new song. We had never played it before, and we
uh,
played it, and it went really well, I think. Um, all the other songs we've drilled in a bunch of times, and it was good. But Futon Lasagna, local legends, sweethearts of people. It was really good to play with them, and DJ Ben. We had a DJ spin in between sets, and it was a good vibe for a brewery. And I don't know, how many people do you think were there? Like 60 some odd?
Oh no, it was way more than that.
Way more than that?
Well, see, the thing is, when you do a brewery show over a 4 hour span, you can't judge based on the people in the space. Like if you look at the folks that were in the outdoor space, every hour it was a different 75 to 100 people. And then inside, there's people flowing back and forth and in and out. So
Yeah.
I haven't heard their bar sales count, but my guess is they did very well that night because the wait to get beers was taking sometimes as much as 10 minutes
oh wow.
when you're standing in line at the bar. So that's a good sign.
They had a
Um,
non-alcoholic lemon drink that I would recommend. So if you're at Feathered Friend in
yes,
Concord and you don't drink,
Laz is
lemonade.
our straight edge member of the band. So the he mentioned a DJ. We actually another guy randomly met at a show. DJ Vin is actually from Indonesia. He's been DJing in Indonesia since 2014, and he's just started playing around Boston. He and his wife relocated actually to
To Dover.
Laz's town, Dover, and just started chatting to him. And so now he played last night with us, and then he's going to join us. We're doing 3 dates with Mephistopheles, and DJ Ben's going to play the opening show in Newmarket, and I'm excited because he's a great warm up for a crowd because who doesn't love like old soul and old reggae
Mhm.
music? And it's funny to watch people that don't really follow that style of music, but they happen to know those original songs or they know them from a cover that came 20 or 30 years later. And it's
Mhm.
fun to watch their eyes light up. I would also be remiss. We had a phenomenal right before we went on. I had a acoustic duo join us called Upright Dogs, and folks are like, "Why would you have that?" Well, they're really interesting because they're not your typical like bar band duo on acoustics. They're doing acoustic versions of everything from the Buzzcocks to the Boss Tones to Motorhead to what was the I'm forgetting the Cure, Stiff Little Fingers,
Oh, wow.
Squeeze, just a wide assortment of
Mhm.
through the specials in there. Am I missing any good covers there, lads?
They did Rancid. They did the Interrupters. They did a bunch of modern bands too. It wasn't just like for the old timers and us old heads who was like, yeah, I only
Oh,
want
they
to listen
did,
to music from the 80s.
and they did the Misfits.
They did. That was really interesting.
We see, and that it was fun because that was another funny thing because you got a lot of old punks that are now dads and moms, and
Uh-huh.
it was just really cool to look around and you see mom and dad. I ain't no goddamn son of, and they're like kids sitting next to him dancing in the front. It was really cool.
Yeah, and it's cool. Like I've seen Big D and the Kids Table literally 25 times. Like I've seen them every time they play around here. I go see them, and to see like literal 6-year-olds with Big D and the Kids Table shirts, I'm just like, this is awesome. Like,
Totally.
this is the future we
Grooming,
need.
grooming the new generation.
Well,
Yeah.
let's not use the word grooming. We'll say bringing the new generation up.
Yeah,
That's a little joke.
definitely. So the show that was awesome. It's great with the show. I just never thought I'd hear Motorhead acoustic. So I hope that sounded
Me
good.
either. Oh yeah.
So uh, touring. I like to ask bands about touring. I know you guys have been through a few changes and stuff over the years. How far have you gone out of your area to tour, and for how long?
So to date, I wouldn't call any of our stuff tours. We just have like made like a run south. So far, the farthest we played outside of our sort of hour and a half radius would be Clinton, Connecticut at Scottish Dave's, which is kind of
Yeah.
a New England bastion for playing punk and ska music.
Mhm.
And then we've played down in Westfield at, I always mess up the pronunciation, Hugies at the Nook or Hutkees at the Nook. And then, of course, the Pioneer Valley Ska Fest. We played there for the first time last year.
Mhm.
Uh, this summer, we're going to be a little busier, and I don't know if I'd call it an actual tour, but we're doing 3 days in a row, which for us is a lot. We're doing Newmarket at the Stone Church on July 17th with Mephistopheles, us, DJ Ben, and then my friend, I don't from the Pie Tasters, DJ Selah, Sean Marshall. He's a old friend of mine from high school. He's coming up and going to be staying with me for probably about 11 days, and he's going to be on those dates in Newmarket, and then was at the Parlor in Rhode Island on that Saturday night, the 18th, and then we finish up in Hyannis at Neptune's out on the Cape on the 19th. Then we get like a midweek break, and then we're going down for the Pioneer Valley Ska Fest, which
Mhm.
Sean is going to be, or DJ Selah. I'm so used to calling him Sean. That's all I've ever known him as. He'll be emceeing that event while we're going to be playing midway on Saturday.
Yeah,
Oh, very cool.
he's Mikey's buddy, and I think I actually just saw him, and I got his cassette from the last Supernova, and I saw
Yep,
his
Yeah.
DJ set, and he was also in your band in the Pie Tasters, wasn't he?
Yes. Yes.
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sean.
Sela was on the show with me. I had him. I did an interview with Sela after the Rudy Abides came out.
Yep.
So yeah.
Well, it's funny because I've known Sean since he was 15-year-old kid skinhead driving a Pinto wagon. Um,
I had a
and
Pinto.
the first time I met Sean, I still remember we were at a warehouse show with it was like a punk rock show in Springfield, Virginia, and he was going around the pit and he had this slice across his throat,
Oh,
and it was obviously it had started bleeding again, so it looked like somebody had slit his throat. Well, I later found out Sean had been ingesting some forest edibles a previous week. I don't know if you know what I mean by that, but mushrooms.
mhm.
And he had jumped across a creek and caught a vine across the throat that
Oh God.
like hung him and swung him up and took him out, and so he had this massive gash across his throat. And when I first met him, he just looked like this crazy badass with this huge throat slice.
Oh my God.
But we became good friends after that. He was part of the Woodbridge Skinheads in Virginia. I was from sort of Fairfax area, and then we had a crew of people from Maryland and DC, and we would all go to each other's parties and shows and whatnot and hang out together.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
yeah,
One thing
when he joined the Pie Tasters, he wasn't DJ Selah yet. He was known as Cool Cajun Don. So if you've ever heard that we used to do a song in the Pie Tasters called Model Citizen, there's this whole line where he's like, it's the Cajun Don when I combination with a pie. That's when he was known as Cool Cajun Don.
Ah, interesting.
So, yeah.
Good to know. Good to know. Yeah, so you're talking about your buddy DJ Ben from the Philippines. Is he familiar with the Philippine ska?
So not Philippines, Indonesia.
Indonesia.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah.
I'm sorry. Indonesia.
Oh yeah, he knows all the guys from like I think y'all had Fish Ska or
Yeah.
something. He knows those folks and very familiar with. I'm just blown away that you can have ska shows with tens and twenties and thirties of thousands of people, and he's like, no, that's normal back home. Like people love this music.
Yeah. Yeah.
incredible.
And Liga and Aji play it very well, and the rest of the guys,
Yeah.
too, of course. But that was
Oh, yeah.
that was awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you said your new song was called Heart Attach, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Supposed to be Heart Attack, but I misspelled it when I was working on the lyrics. So, and I was like, well, actually, this is more about the loss of somebody when they have a heart attack, that you're still attached to them.
Oh, that's great.
So I was like, you know what? Maybe that's like a perfect mistake.
And is that on any type of physical or digital media that we could hear, or not yet?
So we're not there yet, but we're actually, my plan is if we can get back in the studio in the next 2 to 3 months, because I would say comfortably we've got another, I'd say 7 songs that we could easily record. They're where they need to be, but throw in these new ones like Heart Attach. We also have this New Hampshire focus song called 3 Months Out of the Year, which we've only played 4 times and we unveiled last night. I think my plan actually is to get that song absolutely recorded, because I can totally seeing it get picked up by like local media, New Hampshire tourism. We're going to have the midterms coming. It's all about New Hampshire and how much all the cool things about New Hampshire, but the chorus is 3 months out of the year I want out of here. And
Yeah.
it's because it's freaking miserable here from February, March, and April. It's cold, it's gray, everybody's stuck inside. You're just in pissy moods. I mean, Laz, you may disagree. Where were you on that? We had this debate last night in the middle of the song.
So this is the discussion in the band, is that it makes Tal sound like he's not from here, because everyone that's from New Hampshire is like, New Hampshire's the best. Winter is just part of the deal. And it's like, you like snowboarding, you like skiing, you like hot chocolate, you like when the snow falls, you just lay on your couch and just listen to it. It's just, I think the winter here is beautiful. And I mean, I've never lived anywhere else, but I've toured in bands enough times. There's like 2 towns in the entire country that I would ever even consider moving to. And I think
So let's be honest though. You're telling me by like March, when it has been gray and miserably cold week after week after week after week, and the sun is set by 4:30 in the afternoon, you're not like, I fucking need to get out of here. This place is driving me nuts.
No, New England.
Not even when you look in that pretty snow you talk about is covered in shitty like sand and road grease, and it's just dirty looking and frozen and
No, just the summer here is so like, if you've
that
never
I agree
been-
with.
If you've never been to New Hampshire in the summertime, it is
Gorgeous.
the best summertime ever. It's unbelievable. And to get through March,
You can
and,
even
like,
throw
now-
fall into that. Fall up here is summer and fall are like no other.
All the
Yeah,
colors.
and-
Yeah.
Oh,
And the
it's
thing
gorgeous.
is, I mean, like, I think about it all the time, like, people write books set, on the Maine coast, and movies are set here, and da da da. It's just like, man, people spend a lot of money to come visit here. I just get to live here. Like, it's awesome. Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and you live in a cool area. He's out Dover's out on the seacoast, so that's my favorite area. But when
Yeah.
you get into central New Hampshire, northern New Hampshire, like for example, the show we played yesterday, it rained for the 24 hours leading up to it. 1.5 hours north of us got 6 inches of snow.
Oh, damn.
We're in June almost. That's the thing with New Hampshire that drives me nuts. And I don't know if you noticed, I said I love summer and I love fall. Well, spring doesn't even come into it because in this state, spring lasts about 24 hours. It's shit weather, and then it's 2 weeks of, they call it mud season, which is everything's thawing out at once, and the rivers start flooding, and the ground is squishy. But if you step into the ground, it's squishy for about 2 inches, and then it's ice underneath the 2 inches of mud. It's disgusting. So,
Yeah.
welcome to New Hampshire, the Granite State.
Well, you did experience Southern California, so that's a lot
Well,
different.
and that has its own set of problems. The smog in San
Yeah.
Bernardino in the 80s, like I didn't know what
Yeah.
it was like to see the sun in the sky because it was always just a purple haze with kind of a weird orange dot that kind of glowed somewhere up there, and you just got
Yeah.
used to it.
You got to live by
I was
the
in
I gotta
Walnut.
say the
coastline.
people from here are the best, though.
The coast
Yeah.
takes the smog
Yeah.
away, so you got to live by the ocean here.
Yeah, but the wind would blow all the smog into the Inland Empire, and it would back up right there against the mountains. And so San Bernardino and all the little cities there along the mountains would just get socked in with smog. I remember we had first stage smog alerts in high school. We couldn't play,
Yep.
couldn't practice football because we had a first stage smog alert. Thank
Code
God
Red
it's not like
days.
that anymore. But yeah, that's what it was in the 80s, man.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was interesting. I went back to San Bernardino in 2008. I took out a group, or maybe it was, no, that would have been '06. I took out a bunch. I was a rugby coach. I took out my high school team. And it was really interesting being back in San Bernardino. But the first thing that struck me, I was like, my God, like there's sun now. There's no smog. And we went up to, I don't know if you know Rim of the World High School that sits.
Totally know where it's at.
So my brother was lived up at Arrow Bear, like kind of right behind Rim of the World High School. He was a cop down in Colton, Fontana area. But we were hanging out on the rim, looking out, and I could see the ocean finally, and I could see down and see San Bernardino, and I'd never seen that my entire time.
Yeah.
It's always smog. So
Yeah, especially when the Santa Ana's blow, it clears all that smog and all that muck out, and you can see the ocean from up the mountains like that. Yeah.
you can see Catalina Island, which absolutely blew my mind.
Yeah, I've seen that up in Baldy. We used to do a lot of mountain biking up in Mount Baldy, and in the summertime when it's nice and clear, or in the fall when the Santa Anas would blow, you could see Mount Baldy. You could see Catalina from the mountain. So
Wow.
Totally.
yeah,
It's awesome.
So,
Let's talk about the upcoming little show in July 24th and 25th called the Pioneer Valley Ska Festival.
yeah.
As Pop last year, you stated that you played. Is that correct?
Yep.
This year, you're going to be with the Selectmen. What are you most looking forward to, gentlemen, this year's festival? Or who do you want to see the most play as well?
So a couple different things. I would say one, I'm excited to see Thumper. So there's a guy, Ted Reeder, that plays in Thumper. He's one of the founding members. I've known Ted also since high school. He was part of we used to call him the Maryland Mods. He played in a band called The Reply. We were always at shows and parties together. And so I never have seen Thumper. To be honest, I've never even really heard their music. I'm just more excited to see an old high school friend and his band.
Mhm.
So to me, that's really cool. As far as playing, last year we opened things up. We were the first band to kick things off, which there's a decent crowd, but when you're the first band, people are barely even waking up from the night before. Where I'm excited this year. I feel like we're in a sweet spot, sort of middle of the day kind of thing after things have been going for around 4 hours. So people are going to be kind of in more of a dancing mood. And then the other piece, I'm excited. It's a split venue. There's the main stage in the original church hall, which is incredible. It's like being in a cathedral. That's where we played last year, but it's also a little intimidating. It's such a massive space, whereas the other area is in an old gymnasium with this like crazy 50-year-old 1950s gym with terrible lighting and big heavy curtains on this stage at the end of the gym. we're going to trick it out so it's really dark, but that stage is perfect size for us. I think it'll help push sound out. So excited about that. Laz, your
I
thoughts?
I I literally just pulled up the flyer because I was like, there's so
Who's
many good
playing?
bands on here, but I gotta like pick New Limits, Boston
Definitely.
locals, super nice people, love
Mhm.
them. I've seen them like a half dozen times, but whatever. Um, Joker's Republic, super sick. Do It With Malice is like a weird band that no one ever talks about, and I'm excited to see them. Um, Girth Control is an interesting band because members of that band come from Public Access, which is my favorite ska-core band of all time.
Mhm.
I think they were a band for like 3 years and broke up. So it's a little bit like, oh my god, it's those guys that made that record. Get really stoked to see them. Um, yeah, I haven't been out to Pioneer because from my house, I mean, Tal's like an hour west of me. Um, it's like 3 hours to those 413 shows. So like anytime I see stuff happening in Western Mass over there, I'm like,
Mm.
it's a 6 hour round trip. Am I really going to do it? So I very rarely get out there. So it'll be my first time at the fest. And I think, you know, I don't think I've ever been to a ska festival. Montreal Oi Fest kind of counts. I saw
Mm.
86 Crew up there one time, but yeah, it'll be good to be in a room with hundreds of like-minded people who like get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, it's funny because Thumpers is one of the bands. When I ask this question, is that gets mentioned a lot of who people want to see, and it's great for the other bands for bands to support the other bands, and just it's amazing that these festivals.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll tell you, I actually had trying to remember how I met Eric, who formed it. To be honest, I can't remember other than I was like, hey, if you ever need help, let me know. I've done shows and large scale events back home. So,
Mhm.
totally happen to do whatever you need. So I ended up volunteering, basically managing dual stages for the first year, and had such a fun time that I volunteered pretty much to do it from then on. And so last year, even though we played the whole time, I was working stage trying to get bands on, get bands off, which I will tell you, it was a shock to me because I was expecting bands are notoriously late. They want to overplay and overstay or whatever. The first year, we had none of that. Like everybody was perfect timing. And I was like, this is so crazy. And then last year, because we had the split distance, people had to go downstairs and come back upstairs, it still remained that way. And what I've liked about the whole setup is just how even though it's DIY totally, it is allows such easy access to all the bands. The bands are all cool. It's ego free. Everybody's working together. Everybody's accessible. You can have conversations with any band person you want to.
Mhm.
There's no separation. The fans and the bands are in it together, and that to me is what makes this whole event incredibly unique.
And the support from the fans for the bands as well. They'll just come out in droves and just buy all your merch and just love up on you guys, which is fucking awesome. And you guys do the same for your fans.
Oh, absolutely. And we didn't have merch last year, so we didn't get a lot of that love, but we will be selling t-shirts this year. So,
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, it looks like a pretty awesome fest. I'm actually going to try to get out there as much as I can. Um,
so where are you guys? I know, Mikey, you're out in Hawaii, and
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to ask you. I know you had a whole trouble with house flood and chaos from that. I'm glad to
Yeah.
see what appear to be home and walls with pictures on it. How
Yes.
are things going with that?
Things are going okay. We actually went back to the house today. I picked up, we've got a few parrots, a few birds, and we were there last week. We went and had dinner at one of our favorite restaurants there. We hadn't been back in a long time. So we went back and had dinner, went by the house, and I noticed that one of the trays from one of the bird cages was still there. And we had an umbrella, like a patio size umbrella type thing. And so I was like, let's go back and get that. So we went back today. I grabbed the umbrella. I grabbed a few plants that had washed away. One was way on the back. I had a coconut and I had planted in this half barrel, and it was on the other side. It was not in our yard. It was in the field behind our yard. It had dropped down and it was full of mud and stuff, and I rescued that. But yeah, we're doing okay now. We're in central Oahu, and we've got this little townhome here that we're staying in at the moment. And we've settled in and trying to, getting back into a routine, and things are going pretty good. So,
What was it? I can only imagine it would be for me. It would be very emotional to go back to my house after all of that. How did you
uh,
experience it?
um, my wife definitely did. She hadn't been back. I had been back a few times. I work on the North Shore, so I go by
Okay.
the house quite a bit while I'm working. And every once in a while, I had to meet an adjuster. I decided to file for FEMA assistance. I'm like, why not? What are they going to tell me? No, big deal. You know what? If they tell me no, it's not, nothing ventured, nothing gained. So who cares? So I'm like, let me just give it a shot. And so I did, and I had to meet the adjuster there a couple of weeks ago. So I had been back there then, and I had gone back a couple of other times for different things. I was like, oh, you know what? Let me see if I could find this or something. And so I had been back a few times. It's we talk about it all the time. Like the landlord would like, he's going to fix it up and he wants us to move back, but I don't know if we can. I think I'm going to be afraid every time it rains that, this is going to happen again.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of. Our house was made out of cinder block and brick, so it
Yeah.
didn't move. The houses next to us made out of wood. They both moved and got pushed off their property,
Wow.
off their foundation. And the guy next to us was like all the way off his foundation.
Well, from
So
the some of the stuff you posted, I just was in shock at like how much water and mud and stuff came through your area, and then the footage I've seen from just general news coverage is it's blown my
yeah,
mind.
yeah, they rescued us on the skip loader in the bucket of a skip loader because the water was still so high, and it had gone down probably a foot and a half by the time we got rescued. We were trapped in our house for 8 hours, water up to our waist. Called 911. They're like, we can't come. The road's impassable. And I'm like, what do you mean the road's impassable? And sure enough, I was able to look out the window and I could see the road from where we were in our bedroom, and you could see that it was a raging river,
That's
and the
crazy.
river was going through our house.
Yep.
So yeah,
Well, I'm glad y'all are safe and found somewhere to land, and it certainly looks like you've made it home behind you based on what I see on the
I've
walls.
tried. Thanks, Tal. I have tried. Yeah, this is my little studio here. This is where I do the radio show from every Saturday. And so, what was nice is the things on the walls had survived. So
Yeah.
we were just able to go in and grab the things off the walls and so forth. So,
Except all
anyway,
your music, all his physical media
yes,
gone.
all my physical media, all my digital media too.
Oh yeah.
You're kidding. Well,
No. So I did have a friend. She saved a whole bunch of records. What is it? Ululu?
yep.
Ulula? Yep, survived.
Ululu.
That one by Taster's album survived with a
It's
few
like a
other ones.
cockroach. You can't get rid of it. Totally. Well,
So
it's I get the losing records is a big deal. I used to lug around milk crates for forever. And then it was actually, I was in Atlanta, Georgia. I lived there. And my roommate liked to invite random crust punk, train riding hobo punk kids into we had a loft. And I was gone for the weekend. I came back and all my like 3 or 4 crates of records were gone. And
oh
a lot of
shit.
it was like not even, it was technically import because they were bought overseas. Original like Rum
Uh,
Sodomy and the Lash, like all the original two-tone stuff
uh,
collected for 15, 20 years. So at least I had somebody to be mad at. Like having the weather take everything is like, it's
yeah,
like,
no, it's like, and when you're stuck there, I'm sitting on the bed, because I had to get out of the water. But the water was up, I don't know, 3 feet or something, and I'm sitting on the bed thinking about all the albums that I'd lost in the other room. I went back a few times, tried to work my way back into the bedroom, and my desk had turned over, and the storage unit I had with all the albums in it had turned over from the water, and I was just like, there was just no rescue and stuff. And we went back on the Sunday after it happened on Friday. We went back on Sunday to rescue like my wallet and her purse, and a few things that we were able to throw in, maybe some clothes and whatever that we could possibly rescue. And so my friends kept wanting to save the records. I'm like, there's no use in saving them. I mean, the covers are history. They're soaked. There's no way. And my friend, and she insisted. She's like, no, I'm getting what I can. And I probably should have gone through and gone, yeah, I don't need this one, but get this one or get this one, and
yeah.
I just
So
was
she
so
she did save the discs.
yes,
Good.
yes, yeah. So
Well,
I've got a few. I don't have all of them, but I've got a few. But I've hindsight's 2020. I wish I would have gone back and said, you know what? Yeah, let's go through them. Let's save the discs that we can, because there's a few that I would have liked to. There's a few that I'm glad she really did, and then there's a few that I'm like, oh, I don't need this one. I would have been okay if that one, kind of a thing. So
well, if you happen to find any more, I was going to tell you actually, Thumper, Ted Reeder from Thumper is an amazing artist. That's actually his living is not in music; it's in the art world. But he
oh
does these incredible sculptures that are made from original vinyl, and it's a little shocking when you walk in to see it. It looks like a 8 foot tall samurai warrior in full armor, but it's all records. And unfortunately, or fortunately, depends on how you look at it, it's original two-tone, Discord, all kinds of stuff. And you're
Oh
looking
my.
at and you're seeing, oh my God, he ruined that. Like, I know, but it's really cool art. And he does that, and then he makes skulls out of 45s. But yeah, if you happen to have extras, keep those, because anytime I find burnout records, I try to save them, because eventually I'll give them to him for his work.
Oh, there you go.
Neat.
So it looks like you're a snowboarder.
My son is the official snowboarder now.
Oh,
I've
okay.
had, between rugby and concussions, way too many concussions, including from snowboarding. I stopped
Oh,
snowboarding
goodness.
probably 3 or 4 years ago. I'll get back out at some point, but my son is actually a snowboard instructor, and he loves it. That's all he wants to do. Are
Oh,
you a
fantastic.
snowboarder or a surfer?
I surfed. Yes, I've snowboarded. I used to ski a lot. My brother-in-law lives in Ogden, Utah,
Oh, cool.
and
Yep.
he works at Powder Mountain as a
Yep.
tour guide. Like like he'll take you on the backcountry, like on snowboarding tours. So
The POW tours.
yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's really cool. Daryl,
No.
we've been hogging all this about California and Hawaii. Where are you from?
I'm in Pasadena, California.
Oh, I know Pasadena.
I think,
You know
yeah,
why?
the little old lady does too.
I forgot. I wasn't even thinking about that song. That's where Disneyland is, right?
No, that's Anaheim.
No, it's Anaheim. Yeah, that's in Orange County.
Okay.
It's about 2 hours away, maybe 3 hours with traffic.
Is Knott's Berry in Pasadena?
No, Buena Park.
Buena Park. That's closer to that's
Anaheim.
Anaheim and Buena Park are very close together.
Yeah.
It's a couple hours for
What
me.
did I used to go to in Pasadena?
The Rose Bowl.
No,
Are you talking about for what?
I'm not
Perkins
sure.
Palace.
Say again.
Perkins Palace.
I
It
don't.
was,
I'm
it
trying
was
to think.
Perkins was a venue back in the 80s in Pasadena. A lot of
It might have
punk
been
bands.
that. It's like hard to remember names, but I would have no reason to go to Pasadena back then for anything other than music, or if it was an amusement park.
Well, yeah,
So
yeah,
I was-
basically it's just the Rose Bowl, it's the Rose
Probably
Parade.
music.
It's like literally it's a block up is no 2 blocks up is the Rose Parade on
Colorado Boulevard.
here.
Actually, I think I just remembered it. So I was a soccer player in San Bernardino, and it was the '84 Olympics. We're at the Rose Bowl. My soccer team, our fundraising was working concessions in the Rose Bowl. I was
That's
like, I know I've
okay.
been to Pasadena.
Yep, that's
Yeah.
definitely it. I've seen Depeche Mode at the Rose Bowl. I've seen Kiss at the Rose Bowl. Who else have I seen? I've seen the LA Galaxy when they used to play.
Yep.
It's a soccer team. They used to play there, but then they got their own venue down in Cal State Dominguez Hills. But now they're in LA, playing at the BMO Stadium or whatever the hell it is.
Isn't that like off the 210 there is where they're at now?
Who?
Off the 210, the Galaxy?
No,
There's a stadium out there?
No, they're off the 110.
Okay.
Down in LA. Yeah, they're over by the Coliseum.
Oh,
You guys
yeah, okay.
been like a real life version. Have you seen that Saturday Night Live
I-
skit where they're like, "You take the 110."
That's exactly how it is. And that's how we talk too, because people think that we talk like, "Hey, dude," we have that accent. It's like, but no, sometimes people are like, "Yeah, take the 405 to this, that." And we say,
I know, right?
there's some people that say interstate. They talk about interstate. No, we say freeway here. But
Yeah.
you do have to get to there, to there, to there, to there, to there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what's that? Isn't there a soccer stadium there? Because I went to a Lollapalooza there, and it was off of the 605, and it was just
It's-
below the 210.
Hanson Dam.
Okay, yeah.
Hanson Dam. That's where I saw Coachella in '93.
Oh, okay.
Tool,
Well, it's funny
Rage.
because every state has its own way of sort of explaining how to get around and how things
Mhm.
connect. California, it's always off the 405 or the PCH.
It's always the numbers, yeah.
And
Yeah.
so like people not from there, it's like, what are they talking about? But if you're from there, you know exactly, oh, I know you're in Pomona or what, as
Right.
soon as you say certain roads.
Yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah,
next
here's a
week.
little different. We have H1, H2, and H3,
Oh,
and
That
then
sounds more
and
like
that
my speed.
that's it.
Yeah,
Yes.
I like four of the people that I work with are all from California and they moved out here, but they'll do this thing in New England. We don't say the anything for highways. Like you take 16, you take 101, you take 95. You don't
oh.
say the 95. And they're always like, yeah, so I was on the 11 today, and I'm like, it's just 11. It's not the 11, it's just 11. But
Just like
That's
with
that's the point
funny.
talk
of
too.
contention.
It's the same thing with how we speak. Like we say, "Oh, that's like so awesome" or "so cool," and just what 8 hours in Northern California, they say, "Oh, hella cool."
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Things like that. It's so weird. It's so strange. And then you guys, I think on the East Coast, or I think it's maybe Midwest, people say pop instead of soda, like we
Yep.
say here.
Oh yeah.
So it's
No,
just
that and I think that sounds fun. Anytime I hear people say, and it's not pop, it's pop, pap, or I can't even do the pronunciation. I can tell it's a Midwestern accent, but it always sounds so like retro, like 1950s. Would you like a
yeah,
pop,
Right.
son?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's the regional differences that I think are interesting. And
Mm.
it's funny, just you were talking about music venues. For whatever reason, it flashed into my mind before I moved back east in '86. My last show in California was at Fender's Ballroom.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
in Long Beach.
Like it was
Yep.
like a 30
Yeah.
band mod expo. Again, I don't know if my
The
brain has
key, the
twisted.
idea,
Well, the key were there. Uh, they had a question mark
the
symbol.
question. They're called the question.
Yes, there you go.
They just released
The
a new
question.
material. Yeah, I've seen them
So
play. I saw them play with No Doubt when they were
I
big.
love that band. I love that screaming question mark. The key were awesome because I love that whole power pop art kind of vibe. I
The
don't remember
the
if in my mind I think do you know if the Untouchables were at that show?
the Fenders. I don't know because I mean they were the biggest mod band, well, mod ska, whatever it is, back
Yeah.
then. But all the other bands were definitely straight up mod.
When like my memory has always told me they were, but I've never been able to confirm that because sometimes as you get older, you start blending shows together.
I've only been to Fenders in the early '90s because I think they stopped after that. Not too long after that. It was a shitty venue, back then
Well,
anyway. It's
for a kid who hadn't turned 16, it was amazing. We rode a group of four of us on Vespas from San Bernardino, and I rode two up on my friend's
Oh my
P200.
God.
Well, and it was crazy because we left that show at the end of the night, and we were lost somewhere in LA. We pull into this parking lot, and everyone goes inside, and I was like, I'll hang out here. I'll watch the scooters. I'm a tough guy. I can handle it because we weren't in the best of neighborhoods. And so I'm sitting here on my friend Dave's scooter, and all of a sudden this VW van comes flying into the parking lot and screeches the brakes. Next thing I know, out jump like six Nazi skinheads,
oh shit.
and and I was like, oh crap! And they're like jumping on the scooters and twisting the throttles and rocking them. I'm like, hey, get off the scooter. That's my, trying to deal with it. And then my friends come out, and now all of a sudden it's this weird. We're about to get into a situation, and I'm trying to talk them down, and they're trying to talk us up to get into a fight. And then finally, someone's, "Where are you guys from?" And I've always been someone who's moved all around the world, so I'm really good at immediately trying to find connections with people. It's part of what I've had to do.
Mm.
So I was like, well, they're from San Bernardino. I used to live here. I live out in Washington, D.C. now. And the guy was like, oh shit, you're from D.C. Do you know Lefty or Squint or Blue Lawless? And I was like, fuck yeah, Blue's my boy, even though he wasn't. But it was so funny because immediately the tone shifted. They ended up going, hey, follow us. We'll drive you guys out of here. We'll get you to the freeway. And we made it out without getting our asses kicked.
Wow.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
it's it's funny because my kids will tell you, Dad, you talk to everybody and anybody in any place at any time, people you may hate, racist, political, other side, you'll always talk to somebody. And I'm like, because sometimes you never know when it's going to save your ass or help you or
Mhm.
maybe change somebody's mind.
Right. Exactly.
So
Exactly.
Very cool.
Um,
thankfully cool because it ended on a good note.
yeah, oh,
Yes.
definitely. Definitely. I always like to ask the bands in your area if you're familiar with the past ska bands in your area, and of course, you probably know the current ones besides yours. Are you familiar? I'm sure you guys are familiar, especially Laz, since he's been in the New Hampshire area forever. What past ska bands, Laz or Tal, are you familiar with that kind of helped shape the scene in New Hampshire?
I'll let Laz take that one.
Ska bands from New Hampshire. Geez, there's very few.
Mhm.
Uh, there's this band called the Fourth Floor Bandits. They were from Dover in like 2005.
Mhm.
Trying to think. The Sad Cafe had a bunch of shows. Interrobang would play, and Threat Level Burgundy was not from New Hampshire. They were from Mass.
Well,
And
why don't you expand it to Boston? Because I think that's the one thing. Boston, you live closer to Boston than you live to me, even though we're in the same state.
yeah, straight up 95 for me.
Well, let me tell you what I know
Okay.
from that. Perfect Thyroid. I don't know if you remember them.
No.
Is this your Nardwar moment?
My what?
Do you know what Nardwar is?
No, I don't.
You don't.
No.
Does anybody know who Nardwar is?
I know who Nardwar is.
When we're done with this, look it up. He's kind of a famous Canadian interview who digs for deep background info on his subjects, and then he springs these like little tidbits that they're like, "How the hell do you know who I played in a band in sixth grade with?" So
No, it's
he's a little weird, but he's funny.
not really, not sort of like that. But I do know bands. I've been in the scene for a while, and but I do look up things as well. But Scrotum are from
Yeah.
uh, and I don't know if they're still playing or not. But the Hand-Me-Downs,
I
That's
don't
cool.
know.
I like that name.
yeah. But the ones that I know besides y'all is another band called the Feel Goods that are local, and another band
No.
called Sota.
Oh,
So-
Soda's cool. We're
Casey's
Casey's a good
cool.
guy.
Okay.
Totally.
Yeah. Other bands, like, there's obviously like Big D, there's the Pumps, there's New Limits, there's a bunch of Boston bands.
Yeah.
El Grande is from Portland, Maine. They've been doing it for eons and eons. So
Yeah.
they deserve some credit because they play New Hampshire a decent amount.
And they actually might be on the fest too.
Oh, that would be excellent.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. So they may take over. Well, the Goodwin Club is not going to play anymore.
Okay.
So Eric said that they may play. But I think before this is released, that this should already be announced. So hopefully I'm not going to be in trouble.
The most important band from New Hampshire, though, still active since 1979, is the Johnny Earthquake Band. Not a ska band, but do you guys know Johnny Earthquake?
No. What
Johnny Earthquake dresses like a pirate, and he's been dressing like a pirate since the 70s. He was friends with Gigi Allen, but he doesn't like cover himself in shit. But he just makes like punk, rockabilly, surf music, and
60s garage punk.
Only plays all ages shows, and he'll play everywhere. So when I was 12 years old at the Dover Teen Center, the city put on little shows, and I'd go see Johnny Earthquake, and I was like, I think I want to be a punk. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. So if anyone on the internet that listening to this, just go listen to the Johnny Earthquake Band. He's the most important punk rocker in New Hampshire's history because he's still doing it like to this day.
And you should clarify too, when he means he dresses like a pirate, he doesn't mean for like shows. He means all the time.
Oh,
I
saw him
everywhere.
at Hampton Beach like 2 weeks ago, and he was fully dressed like a pirate on Hampton Beach. And I was like, Johnny James.
He wears the tri-corner hat, and he's got the beard, and like he looks like Blackbeard, and that with like 60s garage kind of dark smoke shades. But yeah, and he has the full like. It looks like the Redcoats wore the British, but in blue with the crazy buttons. It's a whole thing. But yeah, I would agree with you. That dude's a total icon.
Yeah, he's the reason that I got into this music to begin with, probably when I was like 12 years old. So
Have you
Big
told
ups,
him that
Johnny.
when you've seen him?
Hmm?
Have you told him that?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I've been for like years. I'm like because I do photography when I'm not doing music, and I'm like would love to like sit down, do a session with you. Like you need to be, and he's like, no, I don't do any of that. Like he doesn't want any credit for anything, and I'm like,
oh.
man, but like, and it's every kid in every small town in New Hampshire. Like he'll play any show, even if it's like, oh, we're just like playing at the beach on a patio, and like he'll do anything. He's the man, but
Got to get a picture of him in for the next album or something.
Oh yeah.
sort of
Put him on the back
we
cover.
should cover a Johnny song.
Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say, I think that's sort of speaks to the ethos of punk and ska, which is what I've always thought makes it special. I think DC sometimes with Discord likes to claim like the DIY movement started here. It's inherent and part of, and always has been part of punk rock ska culture. It's what they do. I think back to, I was telling somebody at work, we were discussing growing up, and they have teenagers now, and I sometimes look back on the stuff that we did as teens, and it amazes me. And I'll use for an example because it's connected to bands. But when I was 14, maybe 15, in San Bernardino, we had a friend of ours' car got towed and then impounded, and he didn't have the money to get it out. So we helped organize a 10 band, 10 keg party on a horse ranch in the middle of San Bernardino. It was like this little 5-acre dusty property in the rough side of town. So we had all these bands come. And the crazy thing is, I look back on it, some of these bands went on to do huge things. No Effects was one of the bands.
Oh, wow.
They came out and played the show. We had this, I still remember because all the kids were like, those dudes ain't punk. And it was these guys in flannels with big afros, and it was the Melvins. They had come down from up north. They were playing a show in LA, and they jumped on this thing in this middle of this ranch in San Bernardino.
Oh,
We were having all these bands playing, and then all of a sudden, police helicopters are flying over with spotlights. And the next thing you know, a caravan of like 20 cop cars and paddy wagons come busting in through the gates. And then the next thing you know, punk kids who are drunk and listening to angry punk music, they get angry, and so they start throwing bottles and rocks, and it turned into a huge freaking riot. Lots of people arrested. We didn't end up making the money we thought because of all the stuff that went down. But I look back on that and I'm like, at 14 or 15 to be organizing shows with bands and kegs, and
yeah.
it's pretty, it was against the law, but it was pretty freaking cool. It was
I don't know
normal.
how you got the kegs.
It was pretty cool.
Back then, it's funny, like you mentioned earlier, about living in Redlands. I had a friend, Jim Avakian, I think was his name, and he would have been overage at that point, which meant he was over 18 because the 21 law hadn't kicked in yet. So, all punk kids had friends that were 18 and up that you could get beer or whatever you needed.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, it's the thing that does amaze me about this music is just, not only can you play it, but you can organize it, you can promote it. I mean, we did fanzines growing up, and probably the coolest thing to me is I'm never going to get close to like big heroes that, of the grand scale, but to be able to hang out with, ride in a car with, be at a party with my heroes and icons growing up, it was kind of cool. The fact that like I was on that same level, being able to have conversations.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Hey, you talked about the zines, because ska zines were a big thing back then. And back in the early 90s, I used to get what is it? He's still doing it. Sean Flowerdew, I'm sure you know him from the UK. Sean's in the Big Seas.
Do the dog music, yeah.
Yeah, do the dog zine, and his brother's in the Loafers. He's the guitar. He's Alan, the keyboard from the Loafers. But that zine is, I remember, it's still around, that I used to get when I was a kid.
Totally. Well, and there was something amazing with zines. Like I had a good friend, Keith Willis, and he was the main guy behind the zine, and then we wrote our little ska page. But do you know Bart Mendoza from San Diego? Any chance? I think he was associated with the Key and like that whole San Diego power pop movement out of the late 70s, early 80s. But we would write letters and then they would send back typed answers to questions that we would type up in our fanzine, and people would mail like $1 checks or sometimes even 4 quarters. And then we would make the fanzine was called Purple Flashes, and so we'd make a Purple Flashes mixtape that was like hand mixed, bouncing songs from records onto cassettes that we would mail out. I think it was like $2, but it was an amazing thing. Like as a kid, to think that we were getting requests from Switzerland and California and Germany for these fanzines, and that's how you learned about like what people were doing elsewhere or what was cool. Take it a step further, I can like I'll use this as an example, like Doc Martens. My first pair of Doc Martens, I bought from Shelley's of London. I mailed a check to Shelley's. I got them back 6 weeks later, and they were a half size too small.
Oh, God. And
But
they
that was
they didn't do half sizes either.
No, it was I screwed up the sizing, but it was so funny because I paid $40 for those boots, and I freaking crammed my feet into them and killed my feet, blisters out the ass, and I wore those things, and it's one of the things why I'm not a huge Docs fan because it's just not comfortable, but I tortured myself into those shoes because that's what was cool and everybody wanted. So,
geez, I think I got my first pair at I think it was Toxic Shock in Pomona, record shop.
I remember
there,
that
Pomona.
place. Yeah. There was Toxic Shock in Pomona, and then the other place was in LA.
Also not Pomona. It was like Whittier. I think,
Rivers.
Monkeys to Go. Do you remember Monkeys to Go?
I
Don't
do.
remember that one.
Yeah. And
There was a skateboard shop in Roland Heights called Monkeys to Go.
Oh, that was it. Yeah, Roland Heights, not Whittier. I'm sorry. Monkeys.
Okay.
Yeah, with Isaac.
What was
Isaac was the main dude there.
Get out of here! I used to go to Monkeys all the time, but
Yeah,
like when I was living in Chino.
One show back.
Was it off the 405?
No, off the 605. Though.
It was off the 60.
Or 60 and 605. But I remember once someone stole my flight jacket with all my patches and shit at a show.
Oh,
And then like a week later, I was at Monkeys to Go and I saw my fucking patches there.
Oh shit!
Someone had stole them and sold them to them.
You're good.
Swear to God. And it's like I had this like beautiful Clash patch that was black and like embroidered. It was gorgeous. And that's how I knew because I had taken off like the red border around it and made it black. And so that's how I knew that was one of my fucking patches. Because that's like a rare patch to get.
So what'd you do?
What's that? What did I do?
what'd you do?
I couldn't do shit. I mean, the guy bought them off.
You didn't go tell the guy?
I told Isaac. Isaac was the guy who worked there. I don't know if he owned the place or whatever, but he was the guy. And I told him, he's all, I can't do shit. I mean, I bought these. They're mine. So that was fucked up. But that's what I remember about Monkeys to Go. But Hollywood, we had lots of different places.
What was the place? Was it Posers or there was something on Melrose?
There is
Poser.
But didn't they change into another?
There was another one that Let It Rock was another. I think it was a clothing store called Let It Rock, and I believe that was on Melrose too.
I remember Poser, and was there Nana shoes or something?
Nanas. There was Nanas.
There was a Nanas, yeah.
And then I think the record stores were Vinyl Fetish, Leaker Bob's, and Aaron's Records. Aaron's Records before Amoeba came in and killed everything here.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, we would hit those, and then I don't remember where it was, but there was a Tower Records we would hit on the way back after we spent all our big money at the independent stores.
Yeah.
Tower on Sunset, yeah. Then they put that the Mega Store in there. What was that? The Virgin Mega Store ended up going.
Oh yeah, on way down Sunset though. That was more towards Africa. Yeah.
So having lived in Southern California, I was trying to explain to somebody these shoe choices back in high school, and they're like, "What? Do you remember Winos?"
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
They're like gum soled with like black canvas.
Yeah, they were in the vein of like creepers and shit like that, right? Monkey boots and shit. Yeah.
I was trying to explain to somebody Winos, and they're like, and then I showed them a photo, and they're like, "Those are goofy as shit." And I'm like, "No, these were cool back then." And then another one was, I don't know if they were wearing them around your area, but karate slippers, black. No.
Yeah.
And then the last one, big in the surf crowd, Huaraches, like
Huaraches. Yeah.
Those are like
Yeah.
the three big shoes that I think were distinctly California. I mean, creepers were worn all over the world, but those three shoes are shoes I've never seen anywhere but Southern California.
Really? Huaraches were like Mexican sandals.
Yeah, they're it's pronounced huaraches. But yeah,
Okay.
that's what basically the Mexican moms throw at their kids.
But see, that's the like I that makes sense. But when you travel to other countries where there's like style or fashion connected to it, surfers were like at least in the later 80s, like that's where I
Yeah.
tended to see those.
Yeah.
Or unless you travel closer to the border, you'd see them. But if as soon as you left California and moved somewhere else, you stopped seeing them.
Yeah.
It was just distinctly Southern California.
That's how
Kind of like here in New Hampshire. Laz, would you agree? Distinctly New Hampshire, flannels.
Yeah. It's the LL Bean. You guys have LL Bean out there?
yeah. I've
Yeah.
heard-
Here, even the women wear flannels. Like you know, you're in New Hampshire when you go to a bar and 3/4 of the bar are sporting flannels of some variety.
Well, and there's a very specific. It's a gray and red LL Bean flannel that is like the LL Bean flannel. Everyone has it. I have one upstairs.
That's the lumberjack one.
Yeah.
Looks like the
Yeah.
lumberjack from those old Christmas stop motion movies. You know, you remember the
Yeah,
lumberjack?
the Rankin and Bass.
Yes.
Yeah,
That
of
he
course.
wears that style.
Yeah, I think we're all around this. Well, I guess Laz is probably a little. Well, how old are you, Laz?
I'm 32.
Oh yeah, you're a couple decades younger than us. But
That
yeah,
blows my mind, Laz. Every time I think about it, you're almost half my age, man.
I don't know, man. I've been
You're an
I've
old
been
soul,
around.
though.
not to
You're an
knock
old
you, man.
soul, though,
It's great. You've got all these great years ahead of you, man.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm almost twice his age. I'm 62. I'll be 63 this year.
Oh shit.
So
Well, you know, it's
But
funny.
it's
Do you guys remember being at shows when you looked and there was always like the old guy that everybody decided was creepy because he was at like a punk rock show or a ska show, and that's us now.
it's like, who brought their dad?
Totally.
what I find interesting being in my 30s, but like all of my favorite bands are from like the 60s, the 70s, the early 80s. And talking to you guys, I feel more like, oh yeah, but like
That's
what
because you're an
was
old
popular-
soul.
Totally.
or a hipster, I guess. Like I don't know.
As a hipster, he likes the good stuff, the early stuff from back in the 80s, that early
Yeah.
punk rock.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like,
you came in through the punk rock scene then, right? You heard
Yeah.
of ska through punk rock.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, ska was always there because like Tony Hawk came out when I was like
Okay.
6. So like ska was always there, but in middle school, so like 7th grade, I started like pirating on LimeWire, like, oh, like who's Real Big Fish, and then who's Mustard Plug, and who are the Specials, and then what's this band called The Clash, and just like, and then kind of being a little bit too full of myself when I was a young kid. I was like, well, I fucking listen to NoFX. I don't listen to Kesha or whatever the fuck was going on at the time.
I know, I get you. No, I get you. Same thing. No, that's not punk rock enough. We can't listen to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now
Yeah.
that I'm like in my 30s, I'm like, Kesha was pretty fun. I don't miss it.
Yeah.
See, I think you're doing what I do with music I hated in my high school, which would have been Def Leppard, Journey, Van Halen. I hated that, but now I hear it and I'm like, oh shit, that's like back in the, and I'll listen to it because it reminds me of high school.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
In fact, we're I pitched it. I don't know if the band is going to follow through on it, but we're doing a show in early September for the National Skydiving Society, and it's at New England Skydiving. So we're going to learn, or hope to learn, Van Halen's Jump. Do a little music video associated with it, and then basically everybody in the band gets to jump for free. So
Oh,
I think
very
it'd be
cool.
really cool if we jump and then we're filming and doing all this stuff, and then when we land, they hand us our instruments and we run and jump on stage and start rocking out.
Yeah, you'll probably be too freaked
That
out
sounds very cool.
to even do any of that when you land. Have you guys skydived before?
Never. Laz?
Yeah.
No, I used to be really into cliff jumping though. So like,
Ooh.
Similar, but a lot higher.
What do you guys? It would be tandem jumping, though, right? That's like
Yes.
what they do
Oh,
here.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think either way, it is going to be a massive adrenaline dump. So even
Oh yeah.
You're right. I can see us running up on stage and our legs are shaking and our voices are trembling, and it would be so hard to like calm down and start playing. So
No,
maybe I
I
need to
wouldn't be able.
rethink
I wouldn't be
that
able to play
idea.
for shit.
Probably
Oh, you
film.
just two takes,
film
guys. Two takes. That's all.
well,
Yeah. Once
just
you land, and yeah, you know.
exactly.
Totally.
That's exactly what it is.
I
What
think
you
maybe
do
that's
is
the way.
you film the stage portion first, so we're
Yes.
actually
Oh,
playing,
there you
then
go.
you film the jumping.
That's
The
what you
magic
do.
of editing.
Yes,
The magic of
exactly.
editing.
Totally.
I don't think I could do that. I want to skydive so bad, but I got to wait till my kids, I've got another year. No, this September my son turns 18, so legally I'm not even responsible for him anymore. But
But bring him out here, and you can jump here in
Totally.
Mokalee. Yeah, I know, right? I know
over,
people
it has to be
that
over
dive.
water.
Yeah,
Well, you're gonna be hiding out
you're
in Pinocchio.
skydiving off North Shore, dude. It's a
Yeah.
great place. Come
It'll
on
be
out.
sick.
Well, with ours, I think my only worry is we're going to end up creating this legend, but the ska version of the day the music died, when 8 members of the Selectmen like splat into the ground in southern Maine at 400 miles an
The
hour.
day the music died.
Yeah, we can't play.
Oh,
Our
yeah.
drummer's gone. His shooting no.
That'll be the whole band. We'll go one after the other. Poof, poof. We'll capture it all on film, and we will be like the legend. We will grow in our legend and lore, because only 5 songs ever were put out, but it'll be the best 5 songs.
Yes, exactly.
People will talk about it.
Talking about that, I want to know about the songwriting process. Who's in charge? How does a song get made? Is one person the editor, the veto person? Let us know.
It's collaboratively decentralized is probably the best way to say it. So, like, we're working on something new. Like, let's say the song. We have a very straightforward like trad ska song, and basically I brought it to practice, and I was like, I have 2 riffs, just like 2 chord progressions, and we just jammed on it over and over again, built the structure, and went from there. But Heart Attach, the song Tal wrote recently, I think you play with like MIDI, and like he kind of wrote the song on the computer.
Build the parts out with a MIDI.
Yeah, and
so,
but like Dave came to practice the other day and was just like, oh, I wrote a song, and he had like a structure. It's kind of like whoever feels like writing a song, we just jam on it for a while. And there's been very few times where anyone's been like, I don't like that. That doesn't work. We're not doing that. Usually, if someone doesn't like something, everyone's collaborative enough to be like, let's change that and make it better. So that's not to say there haven't been things that don't go anywhere, but it's pretty like if anyone has an idea, we're cool with it.
Yeah.
And my background in hardcore, and then like my love of ska, like for more than 2 decades of my life. The other guys have different musical backgrounds, so like sometimes we'll be writing stuff, and like I might be able to input something like, oh, to be more in the genre, let's try this. Or they'll be like, let's do this that's outside of the genre and like change it up in a way that really makes it work. So it's, with 8 of us, there's a lot of input, and we can usually land on a consensus pretty easily. There's been very few like, this is my fucking song and we're doing it this way.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I would add, I think we've gotten to this point. When we first started, no one wrote music but myself, and I don't have the musical vocabulary to communicate what I hear in my head, which is why I try to use MIDI so that I can build it out as best I can, but it still doesn't capture what I hear in my head. But over the last probably year and a half, when we added in or actually Dave's been with us 2 years, the other guitarist, he comes up with musical ideas, and so he's kind of added into our mix, and he tends to come like very catchy poppy riffs is the best way to explain it. And then when Laz came on, again, another musical person he's a songwriter too. He brings a whole nother thing, and it's nice because he's mentioned he tends to bring in some licks from sort of hardcore and that kind of element,
Mhm.
but he's playing it in a ska style, so the progression might be hardcore, but the sound is more traditional ska sound. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's awesome because I tend to write in more not power chord, but major chord, like typical chord progress. I like pop music, so a lot of my stuff is pop oriented. Where Laz brings a different vibe, and then Dave, the other guitarist, is actually a what do you call it? A banjo, bluegrass banjo player.
Mhm.
So he's coming from that element, and so now we've got three of us sort of working our magic together. And sometimes, I'll come up with an idea, and I can just tell, like, our bassist Luke will be like, I don't like, he'll say, I don't like it. And then that means we all need to kind of marinate on it and come back to it, or rework it. Laz, being the young guy, wants to play everything very fast. Us old guys are like, let's slow it down a little bit. Um, but it's what I think makes music interesting, because there's nothing worse if you have eight guys all listening to the same type of music, then they're just recreating the type of music that they listen to. Where we've got eight guys whose tastes range from bluegrass to jazz to straight up rock and roll, classic rock and roll, punk rock, metal, indie 90s rock, which not my favorite. We've had some heavy, I'd say that's one area when we've talked about trying to do covers, because we do some covers. We've had a lot of animated discussion about well, I'll say about what I will not play. So,
Yeah.
one,
What
one
I
band comes to
do,
mind, and that is Incubus, which I refuse to do,
yeah,
even if it's
pass.
a ska version.
Um, I know we mentioned a bunch of people in the band. Uh, Dan, the trumpet player, um,
Absolutely.
punk rock background. I fucking learned to play guitar playing tabs, just being like, well, how the fuck you play a Ramon song? So I have like very little music theory knowledge, but I'll write stuff. But Dan's very good where I'm like, I want this to be an interval that sounds sort of dissonant, but it's thin. And he can just like, oh, just play this note. Like his music theory brain
Mhm.
is so good where I'm like, I I think this is the right interval. And he's like, yeah, that would be like the diminished fifth. So that works. And I'm like, okay, sure, whatever. Um, so he's been very good for that. And
Mhm.
it's good to have people that actually know what the hell they're talking about, because sometimes I'm just like, it's this chord because it sounds weird and I decided it. And he's like, no, that's in key. That makes sense.
Right.
But I think that's actually been one of the blessings of the band too, because between Dan and then our keyboard player and our bassist are both former music choral guys. They know how to read music, they know music theory, and so between those three and Laz, I think you're being self-depreciating, because honestly, for somebody who claims they don't know how to like play, you freaking have an ear for things and figuring stuff out really
I
quickly.
appreciate that.
Um, so I think we've been lucky in that sense, because I'd say of the band, five members of our band are very talented musically and understand the theory and mechanics of music, and so they're able to. I mean, for example, last night, or not last night, Wednesday, we were practicing for the show. All we were going to do was run through our set for Saturday, but Laz went home from work that day at lunch and came up with a guitar lick and was like, oh, and he was just strumming it. And all of a sudden, we're like, ah, fuck it, let's practice this. Next thing I know, we're recording. We drilled down a pretty decent song format off of that. And then our other guitarist, Dave, had another lick that he brought in, and we quickly recorded that as well. And so we picked up two new songs in 20 minutes, um, with
Awesome.
most of the chord structure or the song structure in place. And by that, I mean, like, the drummer's drumming, the bassist is playing along, the horn players were doing licks and riffs and finding hooks and melodies. So I think we've been lucky, and maybe it's because if you start a band with eight people when you're 16 or 20, the talent's not and the experience isn't there yet. But at 50 and up, like, they bring a wealth of experience. So something to be said for old guys.
That's awesome. Thanks, guys.
And I'm
Now,
just ripping off all my favorite bands anyways. I mean, nothing I do is original. I just everything's a
yeah.
Oh yeah.
straight ripping off the specials 24/7.
Now, I'd like to know what challenges have you guys faced during your time as a band, from the inception of the band with the prior names, prior music, to now? Anything that you care to share with us about obstacles, adversities, anything that you faced besides the changes, the obvious changes?
Yeah, I think for us, we've from the original four, myself and the drummer are the only original two left. Um, but what presented as sometimes I use this saying, crisis is opportunity in disguise. Those crisis moments, oh my God, we're losing this person. What are we going to do? Well, we end up upgrading in some ways, and adding. And I think our band is so much stronger and better for it. We've improved through that moment. Thankfully, it hasn't happened before a show where we're kind of screwed. It's all worked out. But I don't know, Laz, do you think we've had any crises or anything? Like, I think it also might be just be when you get this old, you're less inclined. Like everybody's kind of settled into their grooves. We don't have issues with drugs or alcohol. Everybody's got jobs and families and pretty responsible.
I mean, I've only been in the band since what, January, late December. It's
Yeah.
been half a year. Um, the biggest adversity, just scene wise, just like New Hampshire small and Boston. I'm friends with a lot of these people, but like it can be cliquish. So breaking into that scene and like getting shows in Boston is very difficult. And it sometimes you're like, hey, we'd love to play a show with you, and they're like, yeah, 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 yeah. And it sucks being that close to the big city. I know Boston's not the big city, but and just feeling like if we could just get a couple more shows down there, this would be great. But it's also one of those things where like then you play a show in Concord to 100 people, and then you play Pioneer Valley, and it's all good. So I mean, they're not real problems. Just one of those like breaking into a kind of cliquish scene is kind of
Well,
the
and
difficult thing.
I would even stretch that beyond Boston because, Laz, I think you're lucky in that you came in when we started having shows. We played for an entire year with no shows, and then we went 9 more months with 2 shows. If we were back in DC, it would have been very easy for me to call on friends and club owners and people that I know. I'd get shows. Up here, no connections. New Hampshire is very appreciative of cover bands and tribute bands and jam bands and bluegrass. People playing ska, soul, rock and roll kind of sounds, not so much. And so, again, for me, I was like really frustrated with it. But again, that whole crisis is opportunity in disguise. I was like, you know what? I'm just go out and start walking into these places, start talking to people, showing up to shows, helping out, asking, what I can do to give them a hand with promoting. And next thing I know, people are like, hey, we got a bill to fill. Somebody just backed out. We pick up a show at Panucci's. That becomes kind of our home base, because on a week's notice, we packed the place, because we were young. We're not young. We were hungry. To get shows. And so we brought every friend, neighbor, family, relative we could get into that place, and they were like blown away. So that got us shows. And then, we invite lots of bands that aren't getting shows to come play with us because we know what it's like to not be able to get the door open. And so we open the door for them. And we're starting to finally see sort of the returns on those favors where we or help people out. They in turn help us out. But I think that's probably been the biggest adversity, was just getting our foot in the door, being able to play in front of people. Because when we play, people are like, you guys are fucking awesome. And the reality is we haven't even really played in front of the scene type or ska aficionados. We just play in front of a lot of people that just really enjoy music and are kind of blown away, like the fact that we have horns and there's 8 of us and we're exciting and it's different than all the other crap that they see. So
Yeah. And I don't want to sound ungrateful, but I was saying like it's hard to break into the scene. I do like the show we played last night. A lot of people, and it was kind of a bar scene at the brewery, but like there was a good chunk of people that love ska music, are hungry for it. And Boston's the big city, and like, every band comes through there, but New Hampshire is, the hinterlands of New England. We're way up in the corner of the country, and not everyone comes here. So the people that love ska are hungry for it. they'll come out. Everyone really appreciates it, and like even the punks just like, hey, like this is alternative music with people that get it. So the response is very good, and like yeah, it's frustrating to get our foot in the door some places, but the shows we've had, the response is great and everyone loves it. And being a part of the ska scene, you know, there's no money in ska music, so it's just good to just be doing it and have the good response. And you know, I don't want to sound ungrateful.
Well, it's good that you guys at least have areas that you could travel to around there, or have bands to play. There's some bands like in the middle of the state or the country, like Flying Raccoon Suit, who have nobody around them. They have to leave the entire state to go somewhere to play with them. And I forget, where are they from?
They're from Alabama,
Alabama.
Mississippi. No, Flying Raccoon Suit's Mississippi, I thought.
Mississippi?
Yeah.
You sure?
I'm pretty sure. I'll check right now, but I'm almost positive.
For some reason, I thought Alabama, because I lived in Alabama and my family's from Mississippi. So
yeah, so it's kind of hard, you know, to get out there, especially in the sticks, especially
Biloxi, Mississippi.
Wait, they're from Biloxi?
Yeah,
that's where my sister was born.
Oh,
I'll be. Yep.
Look at you sounding Southern. I'll be. I was going to change the subject, but I'm a bit of a storyteller, but I have to tell this. So I spent the first 7 years of my life living all over the South, but summers were spent in Mississippi, in Woodland, Mississippi, which is roughly 40 minutes south of Tupelo. And my grandma used to tell me stories about my mom, who was a bit of a hellraiser, but she said this story one night, my mom got brought home at like midnight in the back of a cop car, and this would have been like 54 or 55. Basically, my mom had decided she was going to roller skate up to Houston, which was 15 miles away, on the 2-lane highway to go see this new performer named Elvis. And so she roller skated 15 miles in 54, 55 to see Elvis play in Houston. And then after the show, she was roller skating back in the middle of the night on an unlit highway when the cops basically got her and put her in the car and brought her back home. But I was like, my mom's a bet. Like, that's where I get it from. That's the kind of shit I was doing at 14 or 15. So whenever my parents would get on me, I would bring up that story from my grandma.
That's awesome.
It's interesting. I know I'm a lot younger than you guys, but even in early, 2008, I started going to shows in Boston, and, I knew the older kids and like, oh, Alex has a car, and like we could all pack in this car. And I feel bad about it now. But the Middle East and Boston and TT the Bears, they had specific wristbands that had like the logo on it. Yeah. We were 12, 14 years old. We weren't allowed in. So our friends that were of age would go inside, grab the wristbands from the trash that people threw away, bring them out to us. We'd tape them on and sneak in the show. And my mom was just cool with that, where I was just like 14. I'm like, oh, well, Jeff's 25 and driving us to Boston.
Totally.
And we just did that. And it's now I think, I don't have any kids yet. And I'm like, if I do, I'm like, they're not going to fucking do that. That's not happening.
I know, right?
So the thing is, though, they are going to do it. You're just not going to know about it. Or,
and
like my dad told me,
kind of like, yep, this is what you're doing. And like, she like didn't care.
I think your mom was, because I remember talking to my dad about this in the last 10 years. And he was like, he basically said, we knew what was going on, but he's like, our view was we're going to give you enough rope to either hang yourself or swing by it. And thankfully you tended to swing and have fun. And there were nights that I picked you up from the police station and we dealt with it. But he's like, we're not the type of, and I'm kind of the same way as a parent. We're not going to like do rigid curfews and craziness. But I think there were a lot, at least mine, like I sometimes look back, I'm like, man, I can't believe the amount of stuff I got away with.
Mm-hmm.
No kidding, huh?
Oh, when I first moved back from California, I can remember the first weekend we moved, I went to a hardcore show. It was a Saturday matinee in DC. Didn't know anybody. I just went on my own, fell in with a bunch of skinheads, met this skinhead girl, Sita. She said, oh, this band Fishbone are playing in Richmond. And I was like, shit, Fishbone. I just moved from California. And so I was all excited. I'm thinking Richmond's like, one town over. Well, it's basically 2.5 hours away.
Oh,
She's like, oh, well, that's fine. We can catch a ride with this band. So I jump in this white van with this band from DC called Scream. It was Dave Grohl from at that
Oh
time.
my gosh.
oh shit. Okay.
Like they didn't exist at that time. Dave Grohl was 18, maybe, I'm guessing. But 2 hours riding with a bunch of people I had no idea who they were, hanging out, shooting the shit, go to Fishbone, hang out all night. I rolled in the next morning at 6 a.m. My dad was sitting at the kitchen table smoking a cigarette, like pissed off like I've never seen him because we didn't have cell phones. But you know
Right.
what? I wouldn't even call it a week's not detention. What do they call it back then?
Groundation.
Grounding.
Grounding.
Yeah. You're
I wouldn't even
grounded.
say I got grounded. My dad said, just, you're going to stay in for a week. And that was it. So it was a different time.
Well, I would have got whooped if that was me.
See,
And they grounded.
I got
Not
spanked
at,
one
not at
time.
14 or 15.
Yes, 14 to 50. It doesn't matter. My mom was brutal.
She would have given it to you.
Oh yeah, she gave it.
I was
Yeah,
I was
up until
bigger
I
than my
moved
mom
out.
at
Why?
15.
Why do you think I moved out at 18?
Yeah. See, my dad only spanked me one time, except I spun around. I was probably like 8 right when he went to spank, and he hit me in the nuts and just completely dropped me, and he never put a hand on me after that. It's the same thing. My mom slapped me one time. I called her a B. I hate admitting that. Just dumbass. And she slapped me and my nose started bleeding. She felt so bad she never put a hand on me after that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
what
I'll take
happens.
it.
Growing up, my sister, she's sober now, married, 3 kids, 2 dogs, 2 cats. She's having a great life. But my sister's 2 years older than me, and she was doing acid and, hard drugs and getting into trouble and whatever. So, like, me just being like, I'm sneaking out and going to a show and I'll be home tomorrow and I'm 16. She didn't care. She was like, whatever, you can just.
You were the good
I was
child.
the least of her problems,
Mm.
which is probably why I got away with it for so long. But then my sister got sober, so good for her.
I was the middle child, so I had the focus on me for everything wrong because my sister was the youngest, the baby, and my brother was the oldest that got everything, and I got hand-me-downs. I got fucking everything. I didn't get anything. Everyone got their cars handed to them. I had to work for an entire summer after high school to get a fucking car. So I
Now wait a
know the
minute.
pain.
I was the
And it
oldest
made you
child.
into the man you are.
I'm the middle child. I get it. And
Yeah.
Yeah, I was the oldest child. I had to work for my car. I worked at a gas station in high school, and I bought my own. Was it what, a '69 4-door Chevy Chevelle Malibu
Ooh,
Oh,
nice.
Yeah,
Cruising. With an 8-track player. We cruised to the beach, man. That was my beach cruiser.
Oh, damn.
Did you have
We
a
wrote-
mullet?
No, did not know. We wrote "Skank on Hippies" on the back of it, and it
Okay.
was a punk mobile back then, kind of a thing.
Sweet ride then, yeah.
Trying to be punk rock, yeah. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
I got the pin. Then I got the Pinto.
My punk rock vehicle was a gray primered Chevy Nova that used to backfire all the time and always got pulled over by the police.
That's
Sheesh,
funny.
Novas were cool back then, man.
Yeah,
Muscle.
backfiring though.
I was a freaking mooch. I didn't learn to drive till I was like 24, and I was just bumming rides for my entire life.
That's kind of what I did, but we had one of those like 80s conversion vans with like the beds and the couches and the carpeting and all that shit.
Uh-huh.
Like my parents were like, oh, your friend has a license, they can drive it. We'd pile like 10 skinheads and punks into that and cruise to shows, do it in style.
The kind of vans that have the bumper sticker that says if this van's a rockin', don't come a knockin'.
Definitely in that genre vibe. Lots of windows and brown,
Yeah.
hardwood like cabinetry
With the shades on the windows.
shades on the windows, have tinted windows, shades, one bubble circle window in the back corners.
Right.
It was a hot ride.
Oh my
Beanbag
God.
chairs.
That's
Yeah, and
hilarious.
it's funny. I would if I had money, I would actually buy one of those old vans. I was at a car show the other week and some guy had one of those vans, and I was just so fascinated with it because it was all original mint condition. And it was just so cool. It was so mid later 80s, like 85, 86, the whole vibe of it. I mean, you get into the early 80s when they were like the short, like you remember, was it School of Rock, that one that Jack Black had?
Uh-huh.
That
Yes.
vibe. Ours was the one that had lots of windows, and it was like the upgraded touring version.
Mm.
Okay.
So yeah,
You don't
Vans,
want you don't want
Vans.
to stuff a bunch of kids in a van with no windows. It looks like a
Yeah,
production van.
Got the
Oh yeah,
it's got the bubble window in the back, bro. We were good.
totally.
my best friend growing up, he was about 5 years older than me, but when always been a punk rocker. When he turned 16, he bought himself like a punk rock touring van, and that's what we drove around in. And it was Dover crew. It was all of us who would. It was 12 passenger, and there was 12 of us going to every single show forever.
Do all 12 of you have one of those hoodies?
We did, but people move away, people stop hanging around. It's a whole thing. So
Yeah. Crazy. Well, we do have a couple more questions for y'all. And I don't know why I say y'all. I'm not from Texas.
Say it. That makes me feel at home.
If you could bring any one artist or band back from the past that is no longer together, or an artist who's passed away, which band or artist would this be?
ooh, do you want?
Any genre. Doesn't matter.
I have two answers, and one's the I think it would be better for everyone, and one is the I think it would be better for me. The better for me one is if Ball in the music industry got back together, because
Okay.
I love Ball in the music industry. That I have them tattooed on me.
All right.
I saw them at UNH when I was like 16 and was like, this guy recorded all this on a laptop. I want to do this. But I think the actual real answer is that if Amy Winehouse could come back and she had so much career ahead of her, and so much of her music is a pretty big influence. That I'm like, let's bring her back.
God, her voice and the soulful sounds that came out with her band, and it's sad. It's a tragedy, but what happens with
It's a
alcohol.
tragedy, and
Yeah.
it's interesting where her sound was definitely like of the past and all of the influences that we love, but comparing it to like some of the soulful crooners that are coming out today, she was ahead of her time. She was definitely like
Oh yeah.
right in the pocket of
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
those
what
records are
Concord
great.
lost.
I fucking love them.
Yeah. Tal?
Yeah, I'd say for me it's pretty straightforward. The all original specials lineup, including Rico
Terry?
Rodriguez. I mean, I've seen Special Beat and special variations and some members of the specials, but just to see that original lineup would be incredible. And Terry Hall. And I would say it would be cool not to see them reunited. It would be cool to see them 79 specials, like 80 specials.
Right.
I remember as a kid living in England that we had a TV show called Top of the Pops. And when they came on, just totally like, what the hell? Because it was just so different than all the other crap that was coming out.
Yeah. It's
There was
79.
something unique. What's that?
Yeah, because it was 79. I mean, you had heavy metal rock and roll, that old school kind of rock and roll stuff, and then you had the disco era too.
Yep.
In the late 70s. So, that coming out of there was just like, what in the holy crap is this? This isn't even punk rock. So.
Totally. And it's funny because when we first moved to England, I did an exchange program with this kid, Craig Sherwood, and I lived with an English family for 2 weeks, and then he came and lived with my family. But I still remember two things were distinctive, and I think it's what sort of propelled me into my musical direction. Was one night his brother came home, and he was pretty drunk and just basically was going on about going to Brighton and was going to fight rockers. And it was the whole mod rockers conflict stuff. And I'm sitting there, I'm 9, and I'm like, oh my God, like listening to this. And he'd had this scooter thing with crazy lights and shit. And it was like this god on a chariot. And like, as a 9-year-old, it was like a superhero almost. And my friend Craig was like, I could tell he was in awe of his older brother as well. The next day we go to school and Craig's giving me the tour and he's like, "You don't talk to these kids because they're teddy boys. We don't like teddy boys." I'm like, "What's a teddy boy?" And he's like, that greasy Elvis Presley shit. And those over there, those are punk people and they put safety pins in their face. You don't talk to them either. You can't trust them." And he's like going through and he's explaining each of the little subculture units, who's cool, who's not. Even like I'd never heard the term, what was it, travelers, gypsies.
Mm,
America. It wasn't a
right.
thing. And so he's explaining to me, well, they'll sell you things like combs that if you buy the comb and then you comb your hair with it, your hair will fall out. Or like all this like great, but
Uh-huh.
from a 9-year-old kid, it was like he was like pulling the veil off of how the world is, and I would had never even heard of. And so that was kind of my introduction to music and ska, sort of pre Top of the Pops. But living in England at that time was amazing because you'd hear that shit on the radio. Like American radio was stuck on, traditional rock and roll. In England, you'd hear new wave, punk rock, post punk,
Hmm.
ska, reggae, soul, just a huge variety of tunes. And it was very, very progressive at that time musically, which to me was awesome because I grew up in a household of music. And so it totally expanded that. You did mention earlier about the rock and rollers, but I will say, so there was a band as a kid I hated because the way when I lived in England, the way they all wore these leather jackets and on the back they had these studs that said, and there were two bands. And it's funny because as a kid, I hated them at 9. I grew to love them as an adult. One was Motorhead. Fucking love Motorhead. But the other, Thin Lizzy, I don't know if you know them at all. Fucking rock and
Oh
roll.
yeah.
But I go back and listen to as an adult and I'm like, this is some soulful shit. And that I never even knew that the singer was actually Black Irish. Like, it was a very unusual sound for that time period. And I hear elements of rock and or R&B and soul in their rock and roll. So I don't know. I think hindsight, when you're old and you go back and revisit music,
Yeah.
sometimes you begin to realize it's not as disconnected from other genres as you think.
Top of the
Yeah.
I
Pops.
find that.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I find that because I think we all probably listen to a little bit of everything, not just ska and punk rock. I mean, we
Hmm.
listen to all genres. And what's interesting is the more, I started going back in time and listening to music from the 60s and the 50s, and you're like, well, this band from the 80s references that, and then this band from 2004 covered that. And you're like, the context of it all as you dig into alternative music is just like, it really changes perspective of like, oh shit, like maybe it didn't
Totally.
jive right away, but you're like, oh, but knowing that the roots of that go back to 1963, and you're kind of like, okay,
Hmm.
I get it.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
yeah.
totally. I used to run schools, but I used to teach occasional classes, and one of them I used to do was a protest in art and music and the connection of basically how that works. But I did a whole series for a week where we traced modern punk rock all the way back to early blues, and it was just fun starting with songs and creating this linear line where around the 50s when I don't know if you know Screaming Lord Hawkins, or is it I always
Screaming
confuse
Jay
it.
Hawkins.
Jay
Jay Hawkins.
Hawkins.
Mhm.
Yeah.
The kids were like, that was in the 50s, like, because it's pretty shot when you see that, and then you think about whether it be the Cramps or Kiss or Alice Cooper, and then you see that stuff from 20 and 30 years earlier, you're like, now I see where they weren't necessarily being original. He was drawing on a much earlier thing.
Yeah. I don't know how old I was when I found out that most of the Cramp songs are all covers.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see actually Ian MacKay and
I
um,
did.
uh,
Henry.
yeah, putting out the long lost
Yeah,
Cramps album?
I did see that. Yeah, they released what are they? Human Fly? Was it they just released this last week, I think.
Well, they're
The
doing
one
it's a
song.
whole album release.
Yeah, yeah, but I think the only one song came out so far.
Oh shit. Okay. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but huge Cramps fan. So I was
So am
kind of
I.
excited.
Huge Cramps fan. It's on the
Wait, so,
back of my leather jacket.
oh, totally. That was a band when I moved to California that always intrigued me because it didn't sound like other punk music. Um, and I
Yeah, yeah,
never,
because it was the rockabilly. Where is it? Oh, there it is.
oh yeah, I
Oh,
totally recognize that.
there we
Oh,
go.
there
I
you
love
go.
that.
Yeah.
but it was like rockabilly, but it was way more
But it
kind of
was
darker and
it's
evil and
psychobilly is what they call it now.
Mhm.
totally.
Yeah. That was
Yeah, it
one
was
of the things you were talking about Pasadena, and I remember back in the 80s, we drove to Perkins Palace to go to a Cramp show, and we drove by and we saw the freaking weirdos outside in the street, and we're like, nope,
Yep.
nope, I think we're gonna bypass this one.
That sounds about right. I remember when I first moved out there, it fascinated me that within the Mexican American community, I would see lots of young Mexican teenagers, huge fans of Morrissey and the Cramps for whatever reason in San Bernardino.
Yeah, I know. Don't get
T-shirts,
it at
they would
all.
wear creepers with the peg jeans rolled up, and I was always it just fascinates me. Like it's again, it's the ability of music to completely cross over into other cultures. Like that's what I love about music
Well, and
subcultures.
especially ska. Ska has crossed over so many boundaries, international boundaries, and the Latin ska scene is huge.
Totally.
We were talking to Fish ska. Weren't we just talking about Indonesia and how they
Yep.
have like thousands and thousands of people show up at their shows.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well,
You know.
And
And,
I
and if
recently,
you think about it, it's crazy that this tiny little island in the Caribbean has
Right?
gone beyond reggae and rocksteady and like you look worldwide, they have produced. You can.
And
It's
it's
like
still
7
going.
degrees of Kevin Bacon, but like of Bob
Yeah.
Marley or whatever you want
No,
to say.
you're absolutely right. I mean, we
Uh-huh.
deal with a lot of we call it Jawaiian here. It's the new reggae, the Cali reggae or whatever, that kind. So I mean, even that
What do
is
you call it?
Jawaiian.
Like
What is
John,
Hawaiian?
like
Jamaican
John.
Hawaiian?
Jamaica
Oh.
and Hawaiian.
Was it? And it's funny because I know some folks here they just call it white boy reggae.
Yes.
And the funny thing is, I actually like it. It's catchy. It's poppy. I don't have a problem with it.
It's what I listened to a lot of it before I got really heavily back into ska again. But when I started my radio show, I made a point I'm not going to play that because every radio station here in Hawaii plays it anyway. So,
Oh, yeah.
but just like you're saying, it's like it's reached out all the way out here in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, and they've put their own kind of spin on it, and and here it is, and there's actually quite a few ska bands that from here and
whatever
got.
happened to Upstanding Youth? They were like the best Hawaiian
Oh my
ska
God,
band.
that's so funny you say that. We just had a conversation with Lindsay from the Skluts,
Yeah,
and
about
she called them out, and I was like, I've never heard of them. So I do a song from a local band on my show every week. It's a local segment, and I played Upstanding Youth because she actually had turned me on to them, and so I like I say I don't know anything about it. I'm gonna have to talk to some of my friends and see if they
Yeah.
know about them.
So is
I
there any
remember-
truth? Is there any truth that Bruno Mars played in a ska band? Because I know he did that ska song on Good Morning America.
I love that version, man.
Not that I know of.
'Cause
Not that
somebody-
I know.
I can't remember who I was talking. They're like, no, he got his start. He played in a ska band before he ever got big. And I'm like, bullshit.
I
And
don't
then
think so.
Like a month later, I saw that Good Morning America episode. And he was doing a ska song. And I was like, well, shit, maybe he did.
Oh,
I'll have to
I know
ask. I'll see.
Oscar Isaac from Star Wars and all those other movies.
Yeah.
Well, he was a ska dude back in the day. And what's his name? The one that John Roy is trying to talk
Fred
to.
Armiston.
Fred Armiston too.
Oh, yeah. He was
Yeah.
huge into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Totally.
So I'd like to know for each of you, if you care to share, what are each of your pet peeves or addictions? It doesn't have to be anything bad.
Laz, you can go first.
He's the straight edge one.
Yeah. Addictions is tough. Does it have to be substance related or?
No,
No,
not at
absolutely
all.
not. No, we're like
No.
record collecting.
Oh man. Well, I love Red Bull and Monster, and that's terrible, and it makes me feel like a Kyle. But Jesus,
A Kyle.
like Kyle, like dudes who punch walls.
No.
Okay. No, I don't think I've ever heard it called that. I like that.
Yeah, like a
That's gotta be
Karen,
an East
like a
Coast
Karen's
thing.
like crazy, and a Kyle's someone who goes aggro.
Kyle's like a douchebag who punches walls.
Okay.
Okay.
And
Got
drinks
it.
white Monster Energy. No, that's not like a bad habit. But what is my addiction? I went through a phase of collecting records really aggressively, and my collection ballooned. Collect old cameras and spend way too much money on that. That's always a freaking problem. I don't know. Yeah, I don't really have many addictions.
No,
Um,
those are all good.
pet peeves though, man. I mean, fucking half the voting population on this planet. I don't know. Like,
At
I've
least a
I've still
third.
been waiting for one person to say pet peeve is when interviews go too long. But no one's ever
no.
told me that, which is good.
Uh, pet peeve that I see, and like, this is we'll get political for a second. I live in New Hampshire. New Hampshire's a very purple state, like, really aggressively purple. But it frustrates me when, like, I'll go see, let's say, like, Agnostic Front, and you still get some dude wearing a MAGA hat, and you're like, do you fucking not know
Right?
where you are? Like, it. I don't know. I don't fucking get it, and it's just that's my pet peeve lately is opening.
You saw Keith Morris kick that dude out of the
Yeah, I
well, he got
saw
his
Go
that.
ass
church.
kicked out of the Vegas show they did, yeah.
Yeah, and it's weird,
And do
and
you
like,
not listen to the music? Do you not listen to the words? Do you know
yeah,
anything
well,
about
it's
this band?
well, and you see videos of Dropkick Murphys all the time being like,
Yeah.
your shit's made in China, like our shirts are union made, like they don't. But I don't know. My pet peeve is I pay for the New York Times, and every time I open it, I'm just like, yeah. Turns out, like, the corrupt liar is corrupt and a liar. Like, it's
Mhm.
fucking every day. So I don't know. I try not to let it get to me too much though. But
Kind of have to. You kind of have to just
Let it go.
sit with
Totally.
it. It's hard to let it go though, man. This stuff is
I know.
intense. And
Totally.
it's just we're
yeah, and
being
I mean,
bombarded with it daily.
yeah, and I don't know. Like, we have a song and we call out ICE, and I think probably we could write more lyrics being a little bit more explicit. But I don't know. Just the country's
Um,
my fucking pet peeve right now, man. I mean,
I'm in a musical Facebook group, and one of the rules is they keep it non-political, so they don't want you to post political stuff, and I understand that, but they got one of the mods got on today, and he was like, "Look, man, what do you think? What do you guys think? This happened, and I kind of let it go, and it kind of said something a little bit like, hey, we try to keep it not political, and the guy ended up leaving the group. But how do you feel about keeping this non-political?" And I made a comment. I said, I'm fine with it. However, music is and always has been political.
yeah,
Yeah.
like, and here's the other thing is that music's always political, and only the left makes good music. Conservative music sucks. Because being a conservative, this is my, like, hot take, whatever. But, like, being conservative means you like it the way things are, and I think we should repress people. And you're like, that doesn't make good art. Like,
Good
you
art
don't
comes
make
out of
good
strife and
movies.
conflict.
Yeah, you can't make a good movie being like, slavery was all right though.
Well,
Like, no
and
one's
if you
like on the side of the Confederacy.
right, well, no, and I've seemed to like, for instance, who Dickie Barrett. It's like after some success and after some money and after being able to do whatever you want and buy whatever you want and do whatever you want, that's when it seems to be when the switch comes and conservatism starts kicking in is later on, but in the
Yeah,
beginning when you're making the art, it's definitely um liberal.
yeah,
Oh, it's more fun too.
It's way more fun and it is better. So
Oh, totally. Um, I was gonna say for my addictions, the answer is stuff. And when I say stuff, what I mean is, so I've got ADHD and I'm very impulsive and might be this week I'm really into like for a while I was like buying tons of these because I have a Vespa. Like I've got Vespa Lega big model, Vespa Lega small model. I've got little 16 to 10 Vespa model toys. And so I do that for a while and I end up accumulating lots of crap that fills my house. Some of it is cool, and I've pared down, and then others where, like for a while, I was making during the pandemic, I was taking vintage suitcases from the 40s and 50s, and then I would turn them into Bluetooth speakers so that you could run your music out of it, and they sounded really cool and they looked badass. And then I don't know if you know, like old vintage suitcases that they would have these like travel stickers kind of randomly slapped on them. Well, I would do old vintage music posters, and so I would do, like I have a Clash theme suitcase speaker that I made. That was something I was having lots of fun with, and people fucking loved it. And everybody's like, "Dude, I want to buy one."
Yeah,
But
that sounds way cool.
they are. I'll send you a video my son made of. We did a whole promotional video for it of this Clash suitcase, but it ended up like after making three of those, I just kind of got burnt out. And so like now and Laz, if you wonder what all the shit is over in the corner where your amps are, that's all the guts of leftover speakers that I've taken apart and bought circuit boards and is crap. And it's been like 3 years now. I've got a lot of unfinished projects.
Well, normally that's like me. I'm ADD too. It's the
Yeah.
brain, and I think it maybe just runs in males. The whole thing from
No,
jumping from one
no,
thing to
no.
the other.
I
No,
had an ex that was I had an ex that was the same way. She'd go through,
yeah,
I'm doing toll painting now. Now I'm doing scrapbooking. Okay, now and it would go
Totally.
from this to this to this, and do it for 2, 3 months and then be done with it. And I'm like, you're not painting anymore? No, I'm not painting anymore.
And
Okay,
when
fine.
she like for me, it like completely energizes me and lights me up. Like I'm fucking it's not quite manic or like bipolar, but it like I'm jazzed. I'm up there. But then that starts the interest and the
Yeah.
intrigue wears off, and then it just I don't really
And you
care
get
about
you
it.
get all into it, and she would buy like all everything that had to. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and have all the stuff and do it, and then just burn out after 2, 3 months.
No,
So it's not just a guy thing. But I mean, I totally get it too because I've gone through that way as well.
yeah.
You get into something and then you're just not into it as much anymore. Maybe
Yeah,
not quite
but
as fast.
I wish though my problem is I accumulate a ton of crap, and the next thing I know I look around and my like I've got rooms full of shit that I don't even use the room because it's filled up with junk that I've collected or whatever.
Yeah.
So this summer my plan is to start like basically getting rid of crap uh because I just got too much of it. So
Yeah.
that's a weird, it's like an addiction I sort of thing, but it's also my own personal pet peeve, just with myself because I know it. I know that
Mhm.
about myself, and yet I'll still get excited about something, and the next thing I know, I'm like back online, Facebook Marketplace, looking at, oh shit, there's this really cool thing I like, and
Mhm.
oh wait a minute, that ragged out 1959 Vespa that doesn't have an engine or a seat, I could park that in the front yard, and it would be like
Mhm.
a lawn ornament.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of times
But yeah, I think that.
there's a lot of times like with my brain was when I think of something or I try to remember something or try to find out where is that one thing. I say I know where it is and I've got to find it, or if before I stop, or if it's because or something that I forgot or trying to remember, I won't stop until I remember it. So
So I
I'll go
wish I
on.
had that because right now, like for example, you know how many hammers I have?
12.
Six. No, I got six, and the
Okay.
reason I have six is I got rid of four, and it's
Oh,
because I will place a hammer somewhere so that I don't forget it, and then I forget it, and then I can't find it, and I'm like, oh, I guess I don't have a hammer. I go buy another hammer. Now I got two. That shit happens all the time. I've got multiple copies of things because I just forget I have them or can't find it. Don't know what box I put it in, what room I
Right.
left it in. Um, so yeah, that's the downside.
Yeah,
The
I
addiction
have
thing
that.
I was going to say, or sorry, go ahead, Les.
No, no, just keep going.
No, do it.
I would say I have that problem because with like groceries, where I'll be like, every time I go to the grocery store, I'm like, need a box of pasta, need a box
Yep.
of pasta. I have like 8 boxes of pasta, and I'm like, I'm still gonna fucking buy one on Wednesday when I go grocery shopping. Like,
I'm like that too.
I,
Mine is sardines for whatever reason.
oh my
I
God.
as a it's old people cat food, but as a kid,
Oh, how
I
funny.
just something when I lived in England, we used to eat sardines or kippers, and I fucking they're fishy, but I just something about them, and so I'm always buying these little cheap $1 a 10 sardines or kippered snacks.
How
Uh,
funny.
my work hates it when I bring them to the office because the whole office smells like cat house or something. It's disgusting.
Ha!
So, but yeah,
Tell me you didn't take to the what is it, the beans on the toast or whatever they had out there?
Oh,
Beans on toast.
Love. Do
Love.
you do that now still?
So it's funny, things from Britain that I do. One, I actually like, well, they would call it a jacket potato, but I love a baked potato with butter and baked beans and fried onions. Sometimes you can put like garlic butter on it as well. If you're in England, some people actually put tuna salad on top of all of that. But I'm just baked beans. Sometimes I'll put like a ground chili and then cheese. So that's very English. The other is I drink. One, I'm from the South, so I grew up on iced tea, but I also lived in England. I can still remember the first time I had hot tea and absolutely fell in love with it. So I drink hot tea every morning, a cup of hot tea, cream and sugar, and then scones. You know what those are?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my mom used to make black currant scones when we lived in England. So
Ooh.
love those. The heavy traditional British breakfast, I can do sausages, but I don't know how many English sausages you had, but I like the fat grizzly American sausages that you got to kind of chew on a little bit to like get the grizzle down. English sausages are mostly meat, and so they have a very different texture. So I'm not a big fan of those. Their streaky bacon is more like ham. I can do that. The fried bread is just a sponge for grease. Not my thing. Tomato, mushroom, I like. The eggs are good, but the black pudding, not a chance.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what that
basically
is?
coagulated blood,
No.
right? Isn't it?
It's blood sausage.
Blood sausage, yeah.
Oh, ugh.
And for me, it actually tastes good. But it's the texture. It's got this weird texture which is why I don't like regular English sausages either. I'm a texture person. So
Mm.
Yeah, same
But-
here.
Did you have a spice bag when you were over there?
a spice bag. What is that?
I don't know if I had it in Dublin and Belfast, so it might just be an Irish thing.
Is that where they
But
take the chip bag and put all the shit in it?
It's like fries. I do tofu because I'm vegan, but chicken balls, peppers, onions, and some spicy sauce, and you dip it in like curry sauce, and that's the best food I had in Ireland was Chinese food spice bag.
Wow.
So that's a different name, but I can remember having that. I don't know that I've ever had chicken balls. I wonder how they get them, but it sounds interesting. Sorry.
That's a good one.
Speaking of balls, so addictions. My only addiction, and I think it's actually connected to ADHD, it's sugar. Like I was never a big drinker, never smoked a cigarette, but man, if it was sweet, I'm eating it, and I'm not eating one, I'm eating 10. Like if there's cookies around, like, and that's the hard part at this age. Like, when you're 20 or a teen, like you can wolf down an entire box of cookies or an entire dozen donuts from Dunkin' Donuts after a show. No big deal. But like nowadays, like I got to be careful about that.
Yep.
Oh my God. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I remember like working at the gas station, and I'd go get, what was it, a box of Hostessos?
Oh
Which
yeah,
were the powdered donuts with the
Powdered
jelly in the middle,
donuts.
but they were the big ones,
Yep.
and I could scarf that down and a quart of milk, and I'm good to go. I could not do that today.
So and it's funny because I grew up. The other thing was I was a cereal holic. Like I would go through a box a day,
Mm.
and I would drink about a gallon of milk a day. And people would look at me crazy because we'd go out and I'd be at a restaurant or even at a bar. I would walk into the bars with like a jug of milk. I like milk. I grew up with milk, and people
Yeah.
were, you drink milk? Like that was such. I haven't drank milk now in about 3 years, but
I know I haven't either. I grew up
yeah.
on powdered milk, so when I got my own money and got a job, I'm like, oh, real milk tastes way better than this powdered ass shit that I grew up on.
Oh yeah, that white water. I remember powdered milk well from the 70s. That was one thing when we moved to England. I'd never had milk service, but we had the milk delivery man, and they would deliver them in these glass bottles.
Right.
And I didn't know that the top quarter was just straight heavy cream. But my mom would always say, "Oh, just shake it up," And so I would shake it up, and then I would drink what was whole milk plus cream in it. And milk was like rich, and it was almost like
Yeah.
dessert. And then I came
Yeah.
back to the States, and it was like I was drinking whole milk, and I was like, "What is this water?" Like because I was so used to, like cream in my milk.
Half and
So-
half.
Oh yeah. So,
All right. I think we got
Yeah.
two more questions for you guys. First of all, what does the future hold for the Selectmen, because we know that there's some material that you guys are working on, but what can we expect from your band in 2026?
So I think one is playing out a lot more consistently. Before we were playing one maybe two shows a month or every other month. Now I think we're realistically, I use July for an example. We've got over 11 days, was it 14 days, 7 shows. So we're going to be playing a lot more in July. August is light because we got people traveling, but we'll probably be doing 3 to 4 shows a month after that. And then the other. Laz mentioned earlier, like you don't make money in a ska band, and we certainly don't. We owe ourselves a lot of money. A lot of us have like kicked
Well,
in
yeah,
investment monies.
that's
Um,
actually one of our questions.
Yeah.
well, I think our current debt owed from every band member has contributed to whether it be recording or buying the original PA. We're like in the hole for like $2,400 or something.
Ooh.
But after last night, and I haven't even been paid from the club, we're probably there's the whole of 2,400, but we got about 800 in cash. I'm willing to write off my debt portion and just let's take this money and go back in the studio. I want to get back in the studio. And my sense is the guys do as well, is basically get back in, do another 6 songs or something. I think next time we're not going to release them all at once, but kind of like every few weeks put a song out.
Mhm.
It'll keep momentum moving forward. I'd also like to do a video for at least 1 or 2 tunes. My son's a digital media production design guy, and
Nice.
love to have him do it. So do some music videos. And I don't know. Oh, after last night's show, this is kind of will be big news. But so the brewery we played at had asked us about playing it at the end of October again because we kind of bring a good sized crowd, and I said we'll do it. But like I like theme shows because it helps. Like last night's had this whole scooter rally kind of vibe. We're doing a Tony Hawk theme show in the spring. So I said, would you guys do a beer? And he's like, what do you mean? I said, a Selectmen beer. And he's like, fuck yeah. So we're going to have
Oh, right on.
beer on tap unveiling plus a can where we'll do the labels
Nice.
with our logos. And our trumpet player's wife's a tattoo artist. So I was asking her about if she could do like cartoon characters of our heads, kind of like the old Madness Nutty Boys.
Oh yeah.
Kind of
Right.
so that's kind of exciting stuff. I think those are some big things on the horizon.
And that's based around just Oktoberfest, right? For the beer?
Yeah, well, we're either going to do it on the 23rd, which is my birthday of October, or the following weekend. He said you could take your pick. It's Halloween weekend, so I got to figure out like which one is going to work because when you have 8 guys, who's available? Like how many of half the band is going to be kids trick or treating kind of BS,
Mm.
and then the other is just it's an outdoor show. And October in New Hampshire could be 20 degrees or it could be 60 degrees. You don't know.
Yeah.
So that's something we got to figure out.
Yeah.
How about you, Laz? Any thoughts?
Studio. That's my hope for the future. Play a lot of shows. Meet a bunch of people. Like Pioneers are going to be super fun, and just being involved is very exciting for me. But yeah, we've got so much new stuff, and I think it's really I think the 3 new songs we did last night are like those are great. I'm really stoked.
Totally.
Not to toot my own horn being in the band, but I'm like, man, those songs are good, man. Let's fucking record them.
Well, and I think that's the thing is like, I think every band thinks their stuff is unique and original in some form or fashion. I think ours has definitely there's a lot of ska that leans more into the punk side or the metal side. We don't. We lean more into like you kind of hit it with the British stuff, but like the 80s or elements of ska. And when I say rock and roll, what I mean is like punk rock and roll, not punk hardcore, but punk from the 70s, where it was fast, but it's not so fast that like people want to like smash glasses and turn tables over. And
yeah, it's a little more melodic. It's not, it's not the hardcore smash your head against the wall. Exactly. It's
Totally.
the more melodic stuff. Yeah, but it's still rock and roll.
Fuck yeah. That's
It just wasn't the stuff from the 70s that people were listening to back then.
Totally. And
Yeah.
I think that's what I with our sound, I think that's what we lean into. So I think it's kind of a unique, there are definitely some bands that are leaning more into that. Like if you've talked with Step and Razor Blades, definitely have like that retro sound, which is awesome. Laz earlier mentioned the New Limits. I definitely hear like sort of that 80s two-tone power pop vibe in their stuff, even elements of Elvis Costello. I love all that shit. I will tell you, and it's like my own personal peeve and failing. Like, I'm not a great singer. I think I can write fucking good songs. I think I can write really cool lyrics, but I wish I had a voice, like a soulful voice. Being a former pie taster, I will tell you the best thing for the pie tasters when I left was because Steve, the guy the main singer, he can fucking sing. He is soulful. And I always tell him, and he's always like, "Well, Tal, but I can't write music. I wish I could write like you." I'll take his voice any day over being able to write a song. I fucking love his voice. And I wish I could come back in a different life, maybe with the soulfulness of an Amy Winehouse or an Otis Redding or a James Brown, but the power of like a Joe Strummer kind of in terms of message and whatnot. So,
yeah,
dude, fucking A, your voice is fine, and B, everybody loves Bob Dylan. That guy can't sing for shit. So,
good point. But I think what it is, I've always been lucky to be surrounded by musicians that aren't just fine, they're fucking talented. And I think, like, honestly, the guys in our band are very talented. Like, every practice, I'm just blown away with how quickly they get things or are able to tweak things. And I feel, personal failing wise, I'm sort of that weak link in terms of musicality. Again, I feel very strong about writing material, but singing it is always is a hard part for me. So
understandable.
And I'm not being self-depreciating. I'm being self-critical, I think is what it is.
I disagree.
So, well, I appreciate that. Hopefully one day I will find my voice.
Now, where can we find your music, both physical
questions?
and digital?
So digital, pretty much any streaming platform from Bandcamp to YouTube Tunes to iTunes to Spotify.
You only have the one album out right now, correct?
Yeah, that is it. I don't put it out there, but if you ever want to listen to our practices, you can always go to SoundCloud. But I don't restrict. So it can be interesting if you want to hear us in an unrehearsed, unprocessed, unsound checked, like it's a mess. But it would be interesting to watch the metrics if people are like, yeah, let me check this out, because that's actually where we test drive songs. Like, we'll record them and then people can, listen to them at work and come up with ideas and then come back to practice after heard the rehearsal. But again, I think our hope is we want to be back in the studio in the next 2 to 3 months to start getting more stuff out, because ideally I'd love to be in the studio every 3 to 6 months recording, or every 6 months and do like 12 songs. But just get in and get more material out, because I mean, I'm not trying to toot our own horn, but like everybody who hears it is like, shit, I'm surprised.
Yeah.
You guys are really good.
Yeah.
Where the fuck are you? You're from New Hampshire? What? Like,
right.
It's shocking to them. So,
is there any plans for any physical releases?
That's an interesting phrase. I would say, I think once we get the next recording done, I don't know who to talk to, but I would love to talk to some independent label or I mean, we can do a DIY thing, always open to that. But the problem is I have no connections in terms of distribution and promotion. So that's the real challenge for us. Like, I don't want to make, 500 copies that stay in my basement because I don't know how to get them out to people. So if you know anybody, whether local, I know the names of places like Jump Up Records and Jive.
Yeah, I think you would work. You would work good on Jump Up. That kind of music is what Chuck promotes.
Chuck likes a lot of imports, a lot of European stuff too. So.
Yeah, but he likes the trad ska, which I think is where these guys kind of fall.
But I mean, I don't know if you know the Meow Meows from England, but he I don't think he put out, but he distributes a lot of the English stuff. Which is I think he might have put out. I think he did put out something by the Meow Meows, but he does like the whole UK thing. In regards to other labels, I guess you would want something local to support the band, but DIY is a lot of ways that these bands are going nowadays.
Well, and I've seen that. I think the problem is like most of the people that come to our shows are not ska scene people. They're generally not record buyers. They're record and music
Mm.
listeners. Where to access scene people, we need to find somebody that has those connections because we don't really have that. We're freaking up here in New Hampshire kind of thing. So,
Mhm.
I mean, I might be overthinking it, but I think from my end, it would make more sense to get involved with somebody that at least could put us on compilations, maybe put out a EP or something, get it into their inventory, because then we could refer people to that point for people that collect. Um, when you mentioned meow meows, that just made me think of sort of another aspiration, like something I would love to do. Um, is return to England, to the town I lived in as a kid. It's actually one town over from Ed Sheeran, but they do music festival there. I would love to go back to England for like a week with our band, play like in the old community hall where I was introduced to a lot of music, play there, or they have a small music festival and then do like a one week tour through England. That would be, and that's kind of
That'd
like
be
the
rad.
upper aspirational thing.
Yeah.
So
Seems
Well,
like
do you know, do you know
they
Paul
seem like they'd
Willow?
be accepted really good in England.
Do you know Paul from the Scapones?
I don't.
Yeah, Paul does he does a lot most of the specialized project stuff from out there. So that's what we were talking about, I think, with Lindsay last week, or I don't know how many days ago. But they put out the compilations
Yep.
for what is it? The childhood cancer, I
Yes.
think? Or
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. All proceeds
So
go towards fighting teenage cancer.
yeah.
we got invited. We need to figure out how to get a recording done very quickly, but to participate in this upcoming specialized project for the Christmas,
For this year.
uh, for this year. The challenge with us is like we got to get in the studio to do it, or could we rig up some gear at my house, because we've got the equipment. It won't have the same quality as going to the studio, but could we do, like, we have this song that Laz wrote that's a great sort of fast but very traditional ska number. Um, could we like throw in some like Christmas Carol, sort of night before Christmas reading over it, and make it a ska thing? I don't, that's something we're trying to figure out. But yeah, if we can get that done, that will be our first time officially being on a record of some sort.
Hmm. We got to
So
make that happen.
yes,
Definitely.
hopefully we
Daryl,
will.
were you going to ask about Scott not paying the bills?
I wasn't going to this time because they kind of already went through what their occupations are, but I guess we can. This is a question I normally ask, but unless I would kind of go with the flow, and sometimes some bands will answer questions that we don't have to ask.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't
So
remember. That's why I was asking.
yeah, this was since we know that Scott doesn't pay the bills. If you care to share, what are each of your occupations? I know, Tal, you kind of touch base on some of the not being able to be funded by Scott and do all
Oh yeah.
that. You guys have to have regular jobs just like all the rest of us. But if you care to share, guys, I mean,
Yeah, yeah, definitely. So I've been in education or coaching for 30 years now, but currently I am the charter school office administrator for the state of New Hampshire. So basically, I work for the Department of Education of New Hampshire, and I oversee roughly 40 schools here in the state.
Oh,
got it.
wow.
I thought it was you also are a rugby coach, right?
Yeah, so I coached and did that up until 2015, 16, I think. I stepped away. That was an addiction for me. I will tell you, sometimes taking your passion, and when your passion becomes your job,
Mm.
you begin to lose passion for that passion. And I
Mm.
basically completely, rugby had been my life from 1988. It's actually why I left the Pie Tasters. I moved to Atlanta, was playing rugby, started my career. Um, I did that in 93, 94. But yeah, rugby, that was a whole nother part of it. Like it's funny because as you get older, there you're different people. Like people that know me as Tal knew me from high school. People that know me as, usually it's Bear. Like I know they know me from my time coaching in DC and as a teacher, because that's what kids call me, would be, "Hey Bear." Up here, it's back to Tal. And if it's Talmadge, it means it's somebody who knows me or my family, because that's my full name, Talmadge.
Okay.
Laz,
So I have a super not glamorous job. I work in the service department of a Kia dealership. So if you need brakes done on your Telluride, you come see me. Um, but like
You did
speaking of what
mention
Tal was
something.
saying about
Yeah, you mentioned something
passions
earlier.
becoming a job, I worked at a photo lab for 11 years before that, and
Hmm.
photography was my full time thing, and it was super cool. But kind of got burnt out on it, and then near the end of it, me and the old man who ran the shop had some headbutting. Whatever, it's all good. But there's dick money in art, so I was in art for 11 years, and then starting this new job, I was making the same amount of money that I made after 11 years doing something else. So it all kind of worked out. And, I don't love my job, but I don't care about it. I get to, I live 8 minutes from work. So I get to come home every day for lunch and play guitar and then go back to work and go to band practice. And it's a real punch out. I don't give a fuck about this place anymore. I'm just leaving.
That's
Ah,
great.
for your sanity, that's what you need. All
It's
right.
Oh
awesome.
yeah. Well, and I was gonna say the rest of the band, we've got firemen, we've got coders, like computer program coding types. We have a cook. We have he owns a State Farm or insurance franchise, I guess. I don't know exactly what you call it.
Brokerage.
Um, what is it?
Brokerage. I'm in insurance. That's
Brokerage. That's it.
why.
We have somebody who's in like processing, shipping, receiving, like things that come in a port kind of thing, manages that whole process. Um, and I think that may be everybody. Yeah. So,
Very nice.
and yeah, no, it presents challenges at times with, half the band has married with kids. Other folks are, Laz, you've been married how many years?
About a year and a half now.
Yeah, so new to marriage. He's not in that jaded. I don't want to go home yet. I got to get back to the kids in the kind of phase. So it is kind of funny. The different. Basically, we've got every stage of adulthood in the band at this point now that Laz has joined us. So
I do appreciate you
I
guys carrying that.
no, definitely. And I was just going to say that the money thing. I will tell you one thing we've been lucky with. Um, I think none of our guys are in this for the money. They've paid more than they've ever been paid because, to be honest, none of us have been paid yet. We have in 3 years we've never made money. And then the other side of it is, I mentioned earlier about we book shows and we invite bands that need breaks to come in and play and get their foot in the door. We always pay the other bands before we get paid, and so I can't tell you how many shows where we pay the sound guy, we pay the opener, we pay the other band that we give the headlining slot because we're old and we don't want to play late, and then we end up there's no money left. And so, while the door take was 500, when you pay sound and two other bands, and then the marketing and other crap that we have to do, doesn't really leave a whole lot.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, coming from hardcore, I mean, I've toured the whole country. Like, let's go to Seattle, and you make enough money for gas, you sleep on someone's floor, and you drive back home. So
Mhm.
I don't, the money's just that. I don't care.
Oh yeah. Well,
Same
I will
people
tell
ask,
you.
like,
Sorry, go ahead.
people ask me, they're like, oh, did you play last night? I'm like, yeah. Oh, well, how much you make? And I'm like, fucking none. I don't even care how much the door brings in. This is not my problem.
Oh yeah. Well, we haven't even gotten paid from last night, and I still got to pay all the other bands. But the funny thing is, guess how much we sold in T-shirts last night?
How much?
Just throw a number out.
I don't know how much t-shirts cost, but I'm going to say we sold 15 t-shirts.
So we sold $250 in T-shirts last night, which
Oh, wow.
we're only selling at $15 a pop. Some people are like, "Oh, I'm going to pay you 20. It's worth more than that." But we always this is the other problem. Many of our shows are either no cover or they're $5 at the door. We've never had a show more than that we've put on. We have done where we've gone and played other venues. Like when we were in Medford, we played with Lynn Price 3 from London. I think that was like a $20 at the door. Actually, we made money on that. So this is an interesting one. We traveled all the way to Boston with 8 people for $100. We didn't care, but we had such a good show, and the people had such a good time. At the end of the night, the promoter who put it on said, "You guys killed it." He's like, "People are loving this. I'm going to ask Lynn Price 3 if I can take an extra $200 from their cut." So, because they were guaranteed a certain take from the door, Lynn Price 3 ended up saying, "Fuck yeah, those guys killed it. Pay them extra." So instead of 100, we got 300,
Oh, nice.
which, it's $300, but it was more just like shit. People appreciated what we did. Like they loved what they saw.
Split between 8 guys.
Yes.
Yeah. But that does mean when we fly over to London and play a show with them, we have to give them 200 pounds. So they're making a
Oh
little bit
shit.
extra on that.
We got to be careful with the exchange rate. That's smart thinking, lads. That's why we bring younger people in the band, man.
There you go.
Think like that.
Oh, it's great. I mean, I've played Canada before, and it's great because you can be like, you can always raise the price, and even though their dollar's worth a little bit less, you can always just make a little bit more money in Canada. It's nice.
You and I talked
still
about this. That's another thing I want to get us. It's easier for us to go up to Canada and play than to go to New York City.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
I'm sure
Oh, yeah.
they're probably a lot nicer, and they'll probably be like, "Oh, it's $20 for a shirt instead of 15." They'll go, "I'll pay you 30," or however they talk.
You're doing the French Canadian.
Oh, it's yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Each place is different, right? Toronto, Montreal,
Oh, totally.
Vancouver. Don't they all have different accents?
My
Well,
wife's
oh,
from
absolutely.
Halifax.
It's when they say about, they say a boot.
A boat.
A boot.
No, so
Laz,
my
can you
wife's
do a
from
Canadian
Halifax.
accent? Can you do it?
And,
Because you're married to a Canadian.
Yeah, so Atlantic Canada, everyone knows it from Trailer Park Boys. It's not quite, but Atlantic Canada's got, it's like almost like a Maine accent, but then they have got this like Acadian French thing, so it's real open mouth, and it's Atlantic Canadians are weird. They're their own thing, but definitely different than that kind of hoser Toronto speak.
See, Hoser, that's not even
Yeah,
Trailer Park Boys. That's Bob and Doug McKenzie.
Yeah, the Strange
You
Brew.
guys remember that?
Right. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. No. I used to watch like shows that were made in Canada, like DIY home DIY shows and woodworking shows, and they're from. And I'd always I'd catch it. Well, there was one DIY show. I can't remember. The guy was completely Canadian, and he'd always say a boot. It's a
Yep.
boot this.
Did you ever watch? Used to be a comedy show called Kids in the Hall.
Oh yeah, of
I
course.
did see Kids in the Hall a few times.
That was the
Yes.
best. I love
So-
that. Even the theme song, "Shadowy Kids on a Shadowy Planet."
Well, I was going to say it's another music related thing. So when Pie Tasters, when we did our first tour, we crossed the border from Minnesota into Canada to play the Calgary Rodeo Stampede. And it was basically, it's called the In Fest. And it was like a 3-day music festival. And we brought our $900 yellow school bus, 10,000 miles, played that festival. But we played just after Shadowy Men from a Shadowy Planet. And we only knew them because they did the theme song for Kids in the Hall.
Right.
But we didn't make the connection that they're from fucking Canada. So everybody knew them. And then we came on and people were like, who the fuck are these guys? And then after us, they had Violent Femmes. So it was kind of like this
Oh, my.
weird order of things where like people, I mean, by the end of our set, they're like, oh shit, this is good. But most of us, or most folks there had no clue who we were. But whenever I think of Canadian music and old TV, I always think back, shit, we played with Shadowy Men from a Shadowy Planet. Most people don't know who that is.
Well, what's interesting about traveling in bands and going to Canada as an American band, nobody really cares. It's not an event. But the last band I was in, like, we played Ireland, we played Estonia, we played Poland, and like it was.
You're a big deal.
Well, we weren't a big deal at all. But it was
even
like,
there, they didn't go, oh shit, you're American band. Like, fuck
well,
yeah.
that's even on the flyer, they'd be like, from America. Like, it was
Totally.
a big deal. Like, this American band is playing Gdansk, Poland. And, big up to Gdansk. Love that town.
Gdansk.
Yeah,
I think it's
That
over,
sounds
like,
like a ska
Canada.
band, the Gdanks.
It doesn't it? Yeah, it totally
Yeah.
does.
it is. There is a ska band. There was a ska band from New York called the Skadanks.
Gdansk.
There you
they
go.
Played with, they played with the Toasters. They played with what's Mark Wasserman's Bigger Thomas, the first band he was in.
Yep.
And the Scofflaws.
I fucking
Good
love
bands.
the Scofflaws, man.
Yeah, I saw the Scofflaws when I was out there in Long Island when I was there last time. When I saw at the East Coast, I was telling you guys about when I was in Portsmouth. That trip is when I saw the scofflaws out in Long Island. That was awesome.
Well, the next time either of you are out here in the Northeast, you definitely got to let us know. And if you're going to be at Pioneer Valley, let us know. Let's meet in person, hang out.
Yeah.
Yes.
I know if I were on an island in the Pacific, I don't know that I would be interested in coming here to the Northeast, but you are always
I don't
welcome.
know. You sound pretty fun. I think I could hang out with you guys. We'd have a pretty good time. So
Oh,
I was
we'll
actually
definitely have a good time.
I was looking at the dates. July 24th and 25th is a Friday and a Saturday. I don't think I can make that work with my job, but I would love to. Since Daryl's going on, maybe I'll hook up with Daryl and go, but I don't know if I can pull that off.
Maybe.
The long flight.
We'll know a shitload of people there.
I know, right? It's a long flight. That's the only thing I'm thinking.
Have you ever driven in Massachusetts?
No.
I have. I've been across the
Good luck.
country 3 times.
No. I've been to Supernova twice, so it's the only time I've been to the East Coast.
Yeah.
Well, if you end up there, I go every year. We definitely got to connect. I'm usually just kind of wandering around, killing time and enjoying food in the sunshine and seeing bands I don't know all the time. But it's actually a fun place to discover bands.
Yeah.
Are you going
and friends?
Yeah, I'll definitely be there this year again.
Yeah.
It's funny because it ends up like me and Steve from the Pie Tasters end up hanging out in the parking lot by the Pie Tasters van, setting up tables and just hanging. People come by, join us for a drink or two. Occasionally we'll go in for a band, or I sit, if you're looking at the stages just to the left, the beach is right there.
Yep.
There's this small little tiny quasi sand dune where the path is.
Yep.
I like to sit outside there in the sand and just watch the music, because then I feel like I'm on the beach a little bit.
Yeah, they're right outside the entrance where you walk up.
Exactly.
Yeah, I was Minna Goodwin from This Is Ska Radio introduced me to Steve last Supernova, a few months back or whatever it was, and he gave me a bumper. I recorded a video bumper for the show, for this podcast thing, and then the music they was doing a sound check in the back, so he did it like a few times, and he could see he got frustrated. And then the last time when there was no one, I was recording it, it didn't fucking record, so I didn't get it. I only got it with the people in the background hearing it, so it's fucked up. So I got.
You'll have to get him again this year. I'm sure he'll do it.
Exactly.
Cool.
Well, gentlemen, we appreciate the time that you took out of your busy day.
Thanks.
It's pretty long.
It was good talking to you guys.
Yeah, this was one of the longest. It flowed well, which is awesome. Appreciate it. Is there any last words that you guys have for the fans of the Selectmen and the viewers of this channel?
Yeah, I'd say please check us out on all streaming or any platforms. Follow us on social media. Our biggest issue is people have no idea that we even exist. So we'd love to get a little momentum off of that. The other, I thought you mentioned again, did you need to get some kind of bumper recorded or something, or do you want to do that?
Yeah, we'll do it after we turn off this recording, and then we'll do that.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so that would be it.
I'll play you guys. I'll play you guys on the show. Plenty. So hopefully
Awesome.
People find out about you.
Thank you.
For sure.
All right, gentlemen, hold on real quick. I'll get up the recording, and then we'll get that. Hold on.
Some days will bring that sunshine and some are filled with rain. Some days you find yourself and you lose it all, my friend. Some days are Mondays and you do it all over again. You better believe it. You're really gonna need it. Once you lose it, it's gone. Make sure to mind it, for you can't find it. Unwind it and run. Some days turn to nights and some nights don't end for days. Some days are in sight and some are led astray. Some days are full of trouble and some are nothing but fun. And some days are Sundays up, but your weekend's done one more time. Some days go on for days and the others in the blink of an eye. Some days you're in the fight and some you're wondering why. Some days nothing counts and some it's all on the line. Some days are just about quitting time. Why do to say a word. It all seems so very absurd. Life is a terrible thing to waste. Take care of yourself with haste. It's easy putting other people before you. No need to have a debate. You can always call 988 if you need it. Someone's always there to help you. So don't forget about yourself and remember to ask for help if you need it.